This is referring to the Caucasian people, called in the Bible Adam. Adam is the beginning of a specific people. Not one man, it is a race. Male and female created he them and called their name Adam, and he gave them power. And he gave them dominion. So that the Caucasian people were made to rule over the planet for 6,000 years until the coming of God. Adam was born to rule. He was a god of a new world. Now look at Caucasian people. They feel within themselves they have entitlement. And they do.
God bless Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan, we love you.
I actually do, and it's not. I didn't even know that was a speech from Farrakhan. I love Farrakhan before I've seen that speech.
I didn't, but after seeing that speech, I loved it.
No, Farrakhan has always been a beast.
That's fair.
He's one of the few black leaders that are like, I don't want access to white people. I want to build up my own community. But that's I mean, fair. It is what it is. I don't mind the multi-culti as long as people are able to succeed and be happy. Unfortunately, no one is able to be happy.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
Well, we're setting the record straight because I have gone through life changes and I am no longer content with being called an idiot by people online or in real life. As is the case when I argue with people who are midwits. I'm not going to call them stupid, but they're midwits. They're not capable of cognitive thinking. They are only capable of reductive thinking. That's why you get things like credentialism. Oh, well, I have a college degree. It's like, okay, you paid $10,000 for information that I could go on the internet, Google, and repeat back to you. I'll take my $10,000 now. Credentialism is destroying America. It's destroying the world. The issue is people are not able to think critically, nor are they able to extract the context and meaning of what they read and the knowledge they have. And you see this not only in the theoretical world, but and by theoretical world I mean the sciences, the STEM, but you also see it in the trades as well. Because there's thousands of textbooks on trades, welding specifically, right? When I went to Job Corps, they sat us in a book for a week to pass safety checks and to learn how to operate our equipment and what parameters we were supposed to use. Most people failed that. I passed. People are not able to get out the information and use it from what they read. I am one of the few people that I know that is capable of doing that. And I'm not trying to shit talk. I'm not trying to call anybody stupid. I just think that it's really dumb. And I love Flow State to death, but this is a love letter for Flo to my Uncle Flo. And that's not a joke. That's not a joke saying, Aunt Flo. I call him my uncle because he reminds me of my actual uncle. And I do respect and like Flo. So for him specifically today, I have this stream set up for us since he makes the accusations that we're communists, and we're not. And he makes the accusations that I'm a monarchist specifically.
Which is retarded.
Yeah, because I'm a Christian and, Christ is king, because I say heaven's not a democracy, I guess, and it has closed borders. We're just going to go over some politics. I got some aid. It might be a little boring because I'm not going to play video games in the background.
I'll spice up and make sure there's some memes thrown in here and there. You know what I mean?
So this stream is more of it's more of a little bit of serious political conversation. But I do have a thought exercise, right, Mumpkin? I pulled it
Okay.
up, and I hope everybody can see it. This is a political theory teaching aid. Where you have your government tab, and it goes over very basic um, aspects of governance in society. You have your law enforcement, very basic. It covers all the bases, right? But it's very basic. Economics, very basic. It doesn't get into the nuance. It gives you a simple understanding of what you are politically, right? So I'm gonna go with we're gonna go step by step. You and I can create our utopia through this, right?
Okay.
Where you have different sovereign, you have the individual, which doesn't let you do anything because individuals have no power. You have free associations, which I mean ultimately are not a bad thing, and they still you have some government, you have some type of not government but some type of organization about yourself. And then you have, by the way, it allows you to choose between public and private. The free association. You have a city, like a city council,
Yeah.
you have a country, and you have a world government. All right, we're gonna go with world government. Actually, no, just a country,
Yeah. Let's just do country.
for now. Yeah, hold on. This is the problem with having to use this particular, because you have to go in the Wayback Machine because this is no longer up and going. For those of you who want to use it, just type in chat and I will post it. This is an open panel, but I'm not going to post the link right now unless people start coming up wanting to go in. So, for our executive, right, which is the president, the leader of our military and society,
Mm-hmm.
right, the individual, the leader, right. So, should we go group or group? Should we go group or individual? I say individual.
I say individual.
Okay, there's no need to discuss. There's no need in discussing it, but we will. I don't think a group executive is necessary for society because you have to have somebody who makes the call, somebody who is responsible, a patriarchal individual, if you will.
Yep. Genuinely more bureaucracy, especially on that big of a stage, on one of the most important jobs, especially when it comes to controlling a nation's military. It could be very fatal.
So, if I was a monarchist, I would go with inherited, right? But I'm not actually a monarchist because I think that would be really dumb. Do you think they should be appointed, elected, or a direct democracy vote?
Direct democracy is gay. I would lean towards appointed, but it would have to be appointed by the people in my book.
So just elected.
Yeah, I would have to say elected.
Okay, so basically, in my utopia, this would be the voting: age, education, landowner, and ethnicity. But
Sure.
but here's the thing: I have an actual scientific understanding of ethnicity and genetics, and even the people on my side do
Don't.
not. So I'm going to turn off. I'm going to turn off ethnicity because it's stupid when you're talking to people who don't understand ethnicity. Because ethnicity is not a race; it is the combined culture of the nation state or group.
Yep.
So,
Um.
just to clarify, if I were to put ethnicity in here, I would mean strictly American citizens and those who are the American stock. That would be the Hispanic people from the Southwest, the white European settlers, the Native
Angles.
Americans, and the Asian settlers in the West.
Yeah.
and the black slave and the former black slaves. Those would be the only people that would be their progeny would be the only people that would be allowed to vote. But because people don't understand ethnicity, race, and culture, I'm going to turn ethnicity off.
I'm gonna turn that off too, and we're talking about ideal systems, so I'll cede landowner. But if we're talking about modern day society, I would replace landowner with something else because
Well, it's also very basic. These for me, I look at these as the qualifiers to vote, not that you have to get every single one of them.
right,
See, because like I would also add business owner. You don't have to own the actual land for your business. Would be a positive. When I say business owner, I also basically mean a net tax positive.
what are all the voting requirements like options?
Age, education, landowner, and ethnicity. In this, because it's very basic.
Okay, all right, then yeah.
But I would also add military service.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's very basic, very basic. And religion, I am going to leave secular because while I'm a Christian and I think that we should have the state religion be Christianity, I do not play into dogmatism. So I don't say that we should have a specific Christian religion as like say Catholicism or Orthodoxy or Protestantism.
Yeah.
Right. I don't say that we have a state religion. I think because we are a Christian nation and most of the West are born on Christian ideals, that's what I would do state religion. But even on this teaching aid, if you do state religion, it implies that you have like Catholicism, Islam, or Orthodoxy, or an actual denomination.
Yeah. Okay.
So, foreign policy.
I'm going.
Actually, no. We can do regulations, all right? We can do all the regulations first. All right. So these are the environmental regulations, all right? You have air pollution, land pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, and climate change. On this list, what would you add for yours?
I would do air pollution, land pollution, water pollution. Noise pollution is almost impossible. Climate change, there's not enough data on it.
Well, see, my thing is, I agree with all this because, and I would put climate change because climate change is a natural phenomenon. It's something that happens, and you're going to have to deal with it regardless if you believe it's man-made or if it's just building dikes and reclaiming territory from the ocean like the Dutch. Noise pollution is nigh impossible, but there are things like building barriers on highways that you can do. So I personally would have all of these because I believe that all of these are state matter.
Mm.
Because noise pollution is basically limiting and regulating and finding ways to have like if you are poor and you live in an industrial country, right? You don't want to have to live next to a factory that's hammering away and like you just have to deal with that day and night. They should have to put some type of sound barriers, and that's what noise pollution is. And and climate change, like the reason I'm putting the caveat for climate change is I don't know if this teaching aid treats it as the left does, and it's man-made and evil, but I'm going with that it's like building dikes and reclaiming stuff as well.
Okay.
Because climate change is an actual part of our planet. So, women's rights. Let's just go ahead and knock this on out right there. There you go. No. We can just leave that blank. No, but seriously. What would your ideal utopia? You could have education, employment, property, voting, wage discrimination, and maternity leave.
Don't want to touch this the 10-foot pole. Anyways, education.
I agree. Every person should have the right to be educated. Plus, women have always been responsible for educating the children in the home for all of human history.
Wage discrimination and maternity leave.
I actually agree because so you would let them work
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, I mean, obviously women have worked throughout history. This whole argument of women staying at home, yes, they stayed at home, but throughout human history, most homes were productive units for the family to produce wealth and income.
Yeah.
Women had skills such as sewing and seamstresses, and they produced products.
And if they can work, they should probably be able to own property.
Well, that's another thing, right? Because women definitely should be able to own property because what if their husband dies and they're widows
Mm-hmm.
and they have children? Because, like, at the end of the day, just because a woman is a woman doesn't mean she shouldn't be able to own property. That's always a dumb argument. I don't even understand why that's on there, but this is an autistic teaching aid. I don't think women should be able to vote.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna mention that. I think we should just move
Um,
on.
I mean, yeah, fair. But I don't. But here's the thing: the reason I mention is I don't think most men should be able to vote.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that one blank. Wage discrimination. If you do labor, you should make what your labor is worth. You should make what everyone else makes. Oh no, that's communist. That's communist. Hold on. I mean, if there's a set wage that they're paying people to do a job, you should make it. You shouldn't be allowed to be discriminated on because you're a woman or a
Yeah.
minority for that matter. And maternity leave because it's very important for the family.
Yep.
All right. Inheritance tax.
None.
None? Oh, I disagree. Why do you say none, Bunkin?
I mean, it's money that is. I guess, yeah. It's a difficult one, right?
Yeah, it's we're using it as a teaching aid.
That is a difficult one because it can go both ways. It's not black and white.
Yeah, exactly. If you're poor and your family owns a home and you get paid inheritance tax, that could cause you to lose it. But if you're ultra wealthy, it also causes problems in society if you're able to maintain that same level of wealth without working on it, without working for it. It causes a bunch of social problems.
So I
Go
so
ahead.
I would say because it has to be black or white because it's very basic, I would say that it should stay within the 6 to 10% range.
I would say about 25%. To be honest.
Yikes.
And here's the reason, right? When you're talking about an inherited tax, right? It even says it. Income from estate tax is based on the monetary value of assets, not produced value. So if you're inheriting things, it's typically going to be payable within you, right? If you're poor and your family owns a home, that home is typically worth $10,000 to $70,000. 25% of that would be 2,500. You can pay that. The wealthy bazillionaire who inherits companies and other things can definitely pay it.
Fine.
But I say we meet in the middle and say 10%.
The middle would be 15.
Well, I'm being a benevolent dictator. What about minimum wage?
Adjusted with inflation.
Yeah, I do think there should be a minimum wage. Should it be universal or corporations only?
What, minimum wage?
Yep.
Yeah, it should be adjusted with inflation universally.
Ooh, see, okay. I don't agree. I think that it should be corporations only. I think that ma and pa shops and places that are privately owned outside of corporations will pay their people a decent wage and it will reflect in where you live and the living expenses.
No, but see, those that's where I disagree because the state could just subsidize those mom and pop shops to be able to pay them the same wage.
Okay, well, we'll go with universal pensions. No regulations, employer funded, employee funded. I think they should be both, employer and employee. I think your employer should have to match whatever you put into them.
Yeah.
All right, so central banking. Here's where it goes. Public. This is where the stream gets taken down and we both get shot.
Yeah, public. Well, what do they mean by publicly owned?
Publicly owned means that it is owned by the government.
Then publicly owned.
Yeah, I don't think your central bank should be privately owned.
No.
And without like the fact having no central bank will not work.
Yeah.
Now, here are some things that if you don't have an understanding of economics is going to be very difficult. So I'm going to pull up some definitions here for the layman. That way I can give the proper definition because like I'm blessed by God and have a basic understanding of a lot of these things without having to read much, but most people don't have that.
Not Laws. One second. Not Laws. You think you can come over to my fucking channel and be an idiot?
Well, he can't. No. You should let him. Or post my link and he can come and be a douchebag in mine.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think that the Not Laws would be somebody that definitely should be here. So, what is a discount window? Why and how do banks use them? So basically, a discount window is a central bank lending facility meant to help commercial banks manage short-term liquidity needs. Banks that are unable to borrow from other banks in the federal funds market may borrow directly from central bank's discount window. So a discount window is basically where they have all the money. It's whenever they talk about the Federal Reserve, it's the facilities where banks get the loans and get like the currency reserves. Okay. And I mean that's necessary because it's a publicly owned bank. It means that they're getting money from the Treasury, so that's just a basic thing. For those of you who want to research more, and I feel like everyone should do it, here is the link so that you can study discount windows. Quantitative easing. I'm not trying to get bogged down. I'm not trying to get bogged down in this for too long. Is why I'm giving very basic definitions of trying to make it. So quantitative easing is when your government buys back bonds or other assets to resell them and facilitate economic activity. So again, that is a basic function of a central bank. It has to go. For those who want to do more research on quantitative easing and call me an idiot, there's a link there. What's up, Garion? And currency intervention. Does anyone know? Does the class know what currency intervention is?
Am I the class?
You can be the class. The chat can be the class.
I would imagine it's intervening in the currency.
No, it is the foreign exchange.
What? What?
It's currency manipulation.
Okay, yeah. Interfering. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, it's a foreign exchange though. It's not within the nation.
Okay. So get it the fuck up out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. That is not a fundamental banking thing. So.
Right. We're gonna go up to military now.
Yes, we can go up to military. Oh well, what's the cash reserve that we should keep as a nation?
The cash reserve.
Mm-hmm.
I think 35 is not bad.
35. Here's the thing: if you're a central bank, it should be 100 because
Just
the central
100%.
yeah the central bank is not supposed to do anything but mint and hold your currency, and then make it available for other banks. The private banks are the ones that handle investments. But we'll do, I'd say 40.
Sorry, my headphones completely cut out there. If you were asking me a question or telling me something,
Where did you hear me cut out at?
I just saw you bring that bitch all the way up to 100%.
Well, okay, so I said that a central bank, its purpose is to mint and keep currency. So technically, it should be at 100% because private banks are the ones that handle investments and other issues,
Yeah.
other things. But for the sake of argument, we'll keep it at say 40%, a
Okay.
hefty minority. So yeah, we can go to military if you want. What do you think military funding should be?
40%.
Ooh, we'll come back to this one. I'll put it at 40% because this is 40% of your income as a nation.
Ooh, never mind.
Yeah,
Ooh,
every
never mind.
spending limit in these is a percentage of your income.
Okay.
And your income as a nation is not like normal people income. It's considered what you could have access to with loans and everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
So as a percentage for the GDP, I think 10% of the total GDP is perfectly good.
Yeah.
There we go. Foreign policy.
Isolationist.
Isolationist? I think it should be expansionist. I think you should seize and maintain territory. This is not really good. We'll go with isolationist because you can be expansionist and isolationist.
Yeah.
Military service, conscription.
Conscription.
Okay, I was about to say everyone should be conscripted. Immigration annual limit.
0.
What's up, Blue Jay? We're doing so 0. There should be no student, workers, asylees, or refugees at all.
None.
None. Okay. Well, we'll put 0.1 so we could go over some of the requirements: language, education, ethnicity, religion, and their rights. Let's say if we were to accept immigrants, what will we put? I'm assuming we would keep these. Maybe get rid of religion since we're a secular state.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would their rights be? For me, it'd be limited rights.
It'd be limited rights. Is this a gamer stream? No, this is a nation building simulator. People were calling me and Orthodox Guy retarded online last night. So
it's not even they were calling us retarded. They were calling us monarchists and communists.
That's true. That they were calling us monarchists and communists.
For those of you who don't know, this is communism, and this is monarchism. I just showed them on the compass thing. You won't be able to see it, but that's just what if we were to accept immigration, that's what they would be. I'm gonna be honest. Workers would be very low on this list. Honestly, like all of these would be very low. It would literally be only people that would be being persecuted in their own country, because we have our own students and our own workers to worry about. But doesn't matter because net zero immigration would be the best.
Yeah.
So on here's basic government spending on infrastructure, right? You've got waste disposal, public parks, conservation, solar energy, nuclear energy, and science.
Waste disposal.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna start out by putting. I usually start out by putting all of these at zero.
Yeah.
So for science, I'm gonna say science is the most important because it's investment in education.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that we should always do about 20% for that.
Mm-hmm.
Nuclear energy should be a further 5%.
I would say more like 8%.
Eight. I'll just say 9. Solar should be very small because it is a positive, but it is very not effective.
Yeah.
It was flow state. It was on 5/5 channel. Conservation, again, it's important, but um, it really doesn't cost a lot to plant trees. And public parks, again, around 3%. Waste disposal, that's for cleaning up the pollution. What do you think about these numbers? 5, 3, 3,
Yeah.
3, 9. Yeah. So welfare. I don't believe in a basic income personally, so I'm going to put that at 0. And your minimum income is your subsidies there
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking about. So we got poverty fund, funding for people below the poverty level. What do you think they should be at? I'm gonna say about 3 to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Unemployment fund. I think that should be. It'd be very temporary, and I think that should be 10% though, because getting people back to work and making sure they can maintain their lifestyle is very important. The pension fund should also be 10%
Yep.
for older people. Taking care of the minimum income, your subsidies should be, I would say, about 25%. Basic income. Basic income, for the sake of argument, we're going to say that it's food stamps type deal. The poverty fund is like people who can't pay their bills. Basic income is stuff like food stamps. All right, we're going to also have that at 5%.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
All right, that is our government done. All right, do you want to do the economic sectors or the legal next? Right now, I'm not beating the monarchist allegations because my statism score is higher. It's at 59%. What'd you say you wanted to do?
Let's do law enforcement.
Law enforcement? All right. Murder. What should the punishment for murder be?
Death.
Death penalty? All right.
Yep.
Child abuse? Now, remember, this can range from grape all the way to just hitting your kid a little bit too hard.
Well, I don't think you should be put to death for hitting your kid a little bit too hard. I would say I would keep that as jail time just because it's so broad.
Grape? What about grape?
Death penalty.
Okay. Incitement? Like incitement to violence, calling for violent things.
Maybe a small fine.
Yeah, let's say free.
There has to be some.
Defamation. Defamation should also be fines. War crimes don't exist, so unrestricted.
Yeah.
That's just been me ever since I did this. Like I fundamentally don't believe in war crimes.
Yep.
So street prostitution, brothel, and this is, by the way, this is without a license, right? Right. This is without a license. So
street prostitution license. I'm not okay with prostitution.
Well, okay, fine. Fines.
Yep.
I'm okay with brothels and escorts though, because you can regulate those easier.
Fine.
All right. Handgun. So,
Background checks.
well, here's the thing, right?
Oh,
I think training licenses should be not mandatory to own firearms. I think that it is the state's responsibility to teach people how to exercise their rights in a safe and effective manner. I think that they should be necessary for all firearms training classes. They should be done in schools, but not at the school. The police should come in and teach high schoolers and middle schoolers how to clean, maintain, and use firearms. That way, when they become adults, they can own and exercise their rights. And the license becomes redundant because it's something that you just have. It's basically part of a civics class.
yeah. I would say background check.
Okay. I mean, personally, I usually go unrestricted because I feel like you should be able to buy any of these. But okay, so and that's just all good. They have handgun, shotgun, and rifle. This was made by somebody who doesn't actually know about firearms.
Yep.
Because the real classification would be sidearms, long guns, and automatic weapons.
Yeah.
So casinos, I feel like you should be able to run a casino, even though I hate them personally. So is a license required? Good. By the way, this slightly boosts the GDP. By the way.
Fine.
Homosexual.
No unions. Stop.
No adoption, no unions. Transgenderism. I'm sorry. You should be fined. Should be fine.
No unions.
No unions, really? Okay.
No.
No transition. Yeah, I'm fine with that. You can say you're a girl, but you can't transition. Is that a good balance, Bumpkin? Because
Yeah.
I mean, we know where I stand on.
Yeah.
All right, abortion. All right, so here's where Not Laws is going to be very surprised. Here's what I'm okay with literally all of these.
Yep. Same.
Okay. I'm not okay with just unrestricted though. Forced abortion. I'm kidding.
I don't.
But
think
yeah,
there should-
unironic birth defects. I'm gonna be real.
Eugenics. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Nicotine. No fines for nicotine.
Age restriction.
Age restriction. Yeah.
Selling it, license required.
Yep.
Psychedelics, age restriction. I think all of this should be age restricted. And a license is required. Because the only thing that I could think of would be opiates. But even then, like, if somebody wants to do them, they should. I mean, you're not going to stop them. They're just going to do it illegally.
Opioids are still used by medical professionals at this day.
So age restrictions, license required for everything,
Yep.
right? Okay. Euthanasia. Like, how do you think that it should be handled? Should it be unrestricted or illegal?
Terminal disease. I actually like where that sits.
Yeah, fair. Obscenity laws.
Obscenity laws.
Yeah, you know what an obscenity law is?
Dude, I have not slept yet. I'm guessing decency laws.
Yeah, basically, it's the anti-porn laws and stuff.
Yeah. Fines. I would go up from that. I would say jail
Fines?
time.
Jail time? All right.
Yep.
Oh, hold on. All right. Ethnic hate speech, unrestricted. There's no, and then I'm not doing that for the meme. There's no such thing as hate speech. It's all
Yep.
freedom of speech. As long as you're not actually going out and committing violence, it's fine. Corporate fraud,
Jail time.
jail time. I mean, personally,
We have to be realistic here.
Okay. I can't. Can we meet in the middle? Give him the Murdoch treatment.
Sure.
Or okay. Blasphemy. Okay, let's just be real. There's only one true answer. Unrestricted, because much like ethnic hate speech, blasphemy, it's still, you know, treason. Bumpkin. There's only one real answer for
Yeah.
treason. Okay, public embezzlement. Come on, please. Death penalty. Being realistic, it'd have to be a life sentence. Miscegenation. I'm gonna be real. Who you have a child with, who you date, who you marry is really none of my business.
It's not controllable.
Well, I can tell you it's bad. I can tell you I don't like it. I can give you all the reasons, both morally and scientific, behind it. But ultimately, it's up to you. Dissent, fines, and like that, because like dissent is mini treason. It's undermining your government.
Yeah.
Well, that's our legal thing behind, and here's where we get into the really nitty gritty of it.
Oh God.
All right, this is your sector, right? The first sector is education. All right, you got public and private ownership. Right now, at the base, it states at public ownership being 30%. How much percentage of your schools should be public and privately owned?
I hate seeing his fucking ass in the comments. All right, so this is where we don't.
Oh shit! I wasn't paying attention. Let me engage with the audience. I'm sorry. Yes. Death penalty for when you say degrees of murder. Let me post this in the. Let me go ahead and post the StreamYard link because I don't understand what she means by degrees of murder. Because by the definition of murder, it means somebody who intentionally and willfully takes a life. Now, I understand that people can go because, like, self-defense is not murder. You're not willfully taking a life. You're defending yourself. I'm ignoring not laws because I want him to see this until I'm done, and then I will address him. Yeah. Hey, OTW Lab. I wasn't paying attention to how many people were watching. I thought we were still having like 2 people. We actually have 11 on mine.
Yeah, we have 16 altogether. 3 on mine. Well, if you count my Twitter, 5 on mine. And 11 on Orthodox Guy. God.
So, Blue Jay, this is the thing is like this is a very basic teaching aid, right? It doesn't really go into the nuance. So, for the sake of murder, we're gonna say first degree homicide would be the charge.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't go in that much detail. Is why. If it went into more detail, we could be much more specific. But
yeah, it's just a very basic understanding of what I believe, what Bumpkin believes.
We're making it as basic as possible. And the next section, I was asking more so Bumpkin's reasoning. Yeah, I'm ceding some points. Like I wouldn't have made psychedelics legal or age restricted. I would have made them just straight up illegal. So, but I'm ceding some points because we're both working on these.
Yeah. Well, the thing about most murders is actually a large percentage of murders are neglect. All right, you know what? Not laws. I will concede this point to you. You know that only because it's funny.
Bro sat in on one right-wing conversation and thinks he knows fucking everything.
No, he's just a shit talker. It's okay. But no, so...
I know, buddy. I know. Public ownership is that first one...
Education. This is all sectors. We're just going to ignore this first one. If you were an actual communist, this is how you would do it. But sector by sector. You got the private sector, you got the public sector.
Yeah. Public ownership, bring that bitch up to at least 70% for education.
70%. Okay.
at minimum.
So for the private sector, we'll do that. Okay, private sector. These are the taxes. You have the subsidies that you would subsidize these things for. I don't think private. I don't think private medical
They
care
don't.
or education should get subsidies
No.
at all. And I think that they should be. I think that they should be subject to taxes as well. And I think those taxes should be about 5% on the
Most
corporate
likely.
level, and 7% and five. Well, I'd say 5% on the personal level as well. Do you think there should be a consumption tax on these things?
What do you mean by consumption tax?
So, a personal tax is it is an income tax, right? You got your corporate tax, which is an income on the
Yeah.
corporation. You've got your personal tax, which is a tax on the individual worker. And by the way, we're gonna go ahead and put the tax rate as, I would say, 10% on workers. 15, and corporate taxes would be about what do you think a good corporate tax would be?
Altogether,
Yeah,
um, probably like 25.
25. All right, let's do a reasonable actual personal income tax. What do you think?
Personal income tax.
Hmm.
That
What
should
would come out of
probably-
your paycheck?
Yeah, that should probably be no more than 10%.
It should be no more than 10%.
Yes.
All right. All right. Consumption tax on education in the private sector. What do you think that we? It's a consumption tax. Is a sales tax. What do you think that we should have? What do you think we should have for consumption?
Okay, I just gotta respond to Blue Jay real fast. Blue Jay, the reason we are doing this is because we were called communists. I was called a communist. Orthodox guy was called a monarchist. And that's so the reason why we are doing this, right, is to sort of disprove those claims.
Yeah, it's specifically about our political views on a base level.
Right.
Together.
If you are interested in, doing this as well with what you would want to do, I'm sure Orthodox guy would be open to that.
But yeah, no, we can do a nation building exercise where everybody's included and everybody as viewers, if y'all are interested in that. But this isn't that, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing, Blue Jay. It's a teaching aid. It's not a descriptor for every possible type of crime. No, I never said it's fluid. I said it's a teaching aid. Now, if you're talking about my comments to the actual real life legal system, like, yeah, it's very nuanced and it is fluid. But if you're talking about, like, as far as the legal system within the teaching aid, it's not fluid at all. It's quite rigid.
Gary, it would be a good idea, buddy, but oh my god, it would be like 8 hours of people
Oh
arguing.
yeah, no, we would literally start. This would end friendships.
Fuck.
But okay, so consumption tax is a sales tax, and I think that sales tax should be no more. It should be like within 7% or 10%. To be honest. Import tariffs. I'm gonna be real. If you're coming in for education, you should have to pay the most amount of money.
Oh, if you're coming in for education, but we already established though that there would be no immigration.
Well, import tariffs. Like it's our education materials, it's everything. It's not just immigration.
Gotcha. Yeah, put that shit all the way up.
And export tariffs. Export tariffs should be 0.
Yeah.
So, public sector. All right, what would be the prices for education?
0.
The wages of teachers?
The wages of teachers.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, the 0%, it is not paying your teachers nothing. It is it being in line with market value.
Okay.
Market value being what the 30% of public teachers or private teachers would make. And the 30% being the 30% owned, the wages of the private teachers would be in line.
I would actually raise up the wages for teachers a little bit.
5%.
Yeah, because that's not 5% overall, right? You're saying it's 5% over what the
what their regional expectation would be.
Right.
Like if the average teacher in Georgia made $50,000 a year, it would be 5% of that. Right. Plus 5% of that. All right, so the wage ratio, we're not going to get into that because I'm not a communist, but what the wage ratio is for every dollar that the average baseline starting position makes, that is what the CEO would make. And the wage ratio is legally, it's dumb and non-enforceable, but it's legally what they're allowed to make. More than that, like you put a cap on what your top positions can make. And that would be 100 times the base position. I think it's dumb. We're gonna move on. Okay. So that's the education sector completed, both private and public. Media. I gotta ask you, how much do you think should be private and publicly owned?
Oh, Blue Jay is in the back, by the way.
What's up, Blue Jay?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean fluid as in like, however you thought I meant. I just meant if you're trying to get accurate, like projection of your like preferred government type, and you put something that's only applies to some, don't you think you would go with the least harsh punishment to get?
No. Because when you're creating something like we're doing, you're assuming that everything is black and white, right? If they commit murder, it's first degree homicide. Straight up, just they went out and murked somebody.
Oh, okay. I'm following along. Sorry, I just wanted to explain that because it was like.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, but I'm listening. It's kind of a cool program. Where have you found it?
Yeah, it's actually it's sad because it's defunct. It no longer exists. I'm actually using it on the Wayback Machine. So that's why the link looks weird. But
okay.
So Bumpkin, the media, right? How much of it do you think should be public or private? You know, I think me and you're going to disagree here, actually.
At least 70% public.
See, he had to go get coffee. I disagree. I think it should only be 10% public. I think there should be. I think the vast majority of media are people like us creating products and creating live streams, creating stuff like video games, books, movies. I get there's a lot of corporations, and that's where I would say instead of having the media be like 75%, I think we would just hammer corporations with taxes as a disincentive and keep it more individualized. Bumpkin is now making coffee. Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer. We are having beef with Uncle Know-It-All. At least I am. He called me an idiot, and I'm tired of people calling me an idiot. I don't know. I guess Flo's on his hate Orthodox guy train again. I don't know, but this is my love letter to him. This is my Stan song. I guess.
Flo State's the one that called you a fascist.
Well, I am a fascist. I am a fascist. He called me a communist.
Oh, okay.
If he had called me a fascist, I would have just been like, yes. Yes, indeed.
So what's the big difference between the two?
Communism is retarded and doesn't want people to own things, and it's just ugly people who hate beautiful people and people who hate people for being successful. I'm a fascist and I hate usurious, evil people.
Okay, but as far as like, kind of.
Well, I mean, like the biggest difference and the one that actually matters is under fascism you can still own private property. Communism is inherently the abolition of private property.
Yeah, I'm familiar with communism. I don't know as much about fascism. So that's why I was curious. I didn't
Not
realize.
laws. It's called a joke, Bubba. But yeah, Blue Jay, that's the inherent difference, and that's why it annoys me because I believe in private and personal property.
Do they believe in individual rights then, as far as like? Because I know they don't believe in free speech.
Well, they claim to. They claim to, but it's not an individual right, it's a group right.
Do they believe in freedom of religion?
No. They believe that if you have freedom from religion, meaning they set up forced atheist states.
Really? Fascism?
I thought you was talking about communism.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, I'm familiar with communism. I know
that fascism is either a secular state that lets you choose, or it has a state religion.
Okay.
Fascism is more of a tool utilized by political. Yeah. Fascism isn't an actual codified ideology like communism or capitalism or other things. It's more of a tool and like an idea set.
Okay, gotcha.
Because, like, for instance, later on, I'm going to be reading the NSDAP's or the funny mustache man's 25 points of what his party actually believed before 25? The war. Yeah, there were the political platform had 25 key points.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna be going over that. Actually, we're gonna go over that because I'm a National Socialist, but I'm an American. I'm not German. Right. National Socialism is a form of fascism, and even though the reason I preface with I'm an American is because there are cultural differences between Germany and America, and that's going to affect my political ideology and political beliefs. So while I agree with like 80% of the 25 points, there are things within the 25 points that I think are either dumb or reductive.
So the American points are things that you're getting out of like the actual legislation, like the Constitution, and.
Well, the thing is like most of the 25 points. Most of the 25 points are completely in line with the Constitution, believe it or not.
For his or for yours?
I don't have 25 points. I'm just reading theirs.
Right. I'm just saying. So how yours differ because it's a different nation. I was just wondering if.
Oh no, it's my beliefs differ because I'm from a different culture, different beliefs.
Right, but are you drawing those points that you like about America from what already exists in America, or are you trying to change it?
No, so because I am an American and I do fundamentally believe in the Constitution.
Okay, that's what I was
thinking. And our form of government, there are aspects of the 25 points that would work within America.
I see. Okay.
And that's what I'm getting at. Bumpkin is desperately trying to make coffee. I can hear him in the background. Not laws. That's not the win you think it is. I will concede that point. But neglect and abuse is fundamental in all of Western society. And fascism and authoritarian and nationalism is a rejection of letting people you care about be abused and being harmed. I'm living it. See, most of the liberal democracy and especially left wing individualist rights are basically, I don't care, it's not my problem, or people should just enjoy things, which leads to abuse. Fascism and nationalism is literally saying, no, I have morals, I care about society, I think I'm going to stop this sign of abuse. So that's not the win you think it is, and while you're correct, you're not 100% correct.
So fascism can coexist with nationalism, but
nationalism is an inherent tenet of fascism. You cannot. Not all nationalists are fascists, but all fascists are nationalists.
Okay, so in order to be a fascist, the difference, the step above to go from nationalist to fascist is you can own property. Is that it?
No.
Well, okay. What else would identify you as a fascist versus just a nationalist?
So nationalism is the belief in the nation state, right? Fascism is a tool of the nation state, if you get what I'm saying.
Not really.
Okay, so whenever we live in I'm trying to word this properly. When you live in a dying nation is when you get fascism, right? When the institutions are weak, patriotism wavers, people don't really care, they become apathetic. Fascism typically manifests and is like a national revival. And it is typically authoritarian, not totalitarian. There is a difference. The difference between totalitarian and authoritarian is authoritarians strongly emphasize this is the way things should be. Totalitarians will kill you if you disagree with them. Now, while you do have totalitarian fascists, you have totalitarian leftists. Basically, a totalitarian is a dictator. You do not have to have a dictator to be a fascist.
Okay, so what do you have to make it fascism then?
A strong national identity. I mean, you just got to be strong nationalist.
You already have that with nationalism. That's what I'm just wondering if you.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you is like nationalism and fascism go hand in hand. Like they're two birds of the same coin.
1 second.
What's like the dictionary definition of it?
Well, I will let Bumpkin because Bumpkin's more of the fascist scholar, and I know
if we
he's
could read
like
the
chomping at the bit.
dictionary, then that might help. So.
I can pull it up.
1 second, Blue Jay. I'll answer all your questions, but please let me get caffeine for the love of God.
Any day now, Bumpkin. Just kidding.
Well, I just figured out my new coffee bot has a start button on the other side, and I feel like an absolute brain dead idiot right now. But what?
Oh, is it your first time using it?
No, I used it yesterday, but I guess the start button was just on when the first time I used it, and I didn't notice that, I guess. And then when I went to try to use it today, whatever.
Coffee sounds good. I think I
so Blue Jay, the reason that I don't use the dictionary's definition of fascism is because fascism lost World War II, and here's one of the actual dictionary's definitions. It's the third one: oppressive dictatorial control. That's not fascism.
Right.
I'm trying to explain it to you in the words of a fascist. Because all fascism is extremist nationalism.
That's what the first definition says?
It's the third, but it's literally the definitions are less and less words for the same thing. A system of government marked by central authority of under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to stringent government controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. Policy, philosophy, or movement based on advocating such a system of government. The second definition is literally telling you to refer to the first one, and then the third one puts it in the simplest of terms. It's oppression. It's bad. It's evil. So I don't follow the dictionary version because you see how they changed definitions for words since 2016 to fit their narrative.
Well, I can go with the first one that doesn't have a bias then.
Well,
so
the first one does have a bias though.
So basically, it's a very centralized power.
Yeah, the centralization of power. Yeah, it's not, and it's not inherently under a dictator. It is a
small centralized
yes,
power.
Yes, it is also a corporate. It's a corporate. There is a capitalist economy, which means that it's a free market. Honestly, it's a free market and privatized economy
with heavy regulation.
Yeah, basically, like you can't sell products that kill the people who use them.
Right. I just noticed on this number 2, it was talking about regulation, so I assume that's pretty common. Okay, I can understand it from that then.
So what makes me mad about using those definitions and makes it hard to explain is I'm trying to leave out the non-fascist propaganda. And I'm not doing that because I'm a fascist. I'm doing that because literally all the propaganda is, no, it's evil, it's bad, you're not even allowed to think critically about it. It's just bad, okay?
I don't think that it's not necessarily just going to be bad, but if it does go bad, there's very little anyone can do to stop it.
No. Well, I mean, not laws. Fascism does not have to have a boogeyman. Mussolini didn't have a boogeyman.
If you're dealing with a very small group of human beings that are prone to greed, evil, exploitation, all of these things that human nature is inherent with, like, that's why I think it's considered dangerous, not because the people are necessarily meaning to oppress, but it can turn that way and there's not a lot of check and balance, right?
Yeah. Bumpkin, I hate to tell you, I'm not beating the monarchy allegations.
Almost there,
bro. What? Wait. Capitalism hasn't failed, not laws, and capitalism is a fundamental aspect of fascism and National Socialism.
Okay, Big Daddy Fascist is here. Let's do this.
Alright.
Hi, Blue Jay. What was your exact questions?
Sorry, I had to unmute. So I think I pretty much got like enough information for now. I was just trying to figure out what the difference between nationalism and fascism to get to that step up tier, and then I think I got it.
Fascism is just nationalism plus or nationalism premium.
Well, I would say
centralized power, right?
Yeah, but it comes from a certain like dialectic, a certain thought process, right? So, fascism can be just as easily a philosophy as of a political ideology. It's this overall idea, right, that you're going to take a third option when you are given the choice between capitalism or communism, right? And instead of choosing, communism or capitalism, you choose the nation, right? So, yes, private property is, rejoiced under fascist nations because that is a right that we believe should be given to a population. Because there has to be a goalpost at the end of the road or at the end of life.
So more like socialism?
Right. It is socialistic, absolutely. But it's not like it's like there are different forms of socialism, right? Whenever we think about socialism, we think about it usually in the West merely through a Marxist lens.
Right. Well, we have a portion of our government system is set up with socialist principles. It's not 100% capitalist, or there wouldn't be welfare.
Yeah. So it's essentially like meritocratic socialism. There's also, a lot of syndicalism thrown in there as well. You saw that a lot with Mussolini. The entire fascist economic system. Like, I would highly suggest, if you really want to know about the economic system, read The Economic Foundations of Fascism, written by Paul Inzig. He was not an Italian. He was not a fascist. He was a British economics that actually was able to come into Italy during that time and study it, right? So it's a completely like non-biased person. Great book. I recommend it to everyone. If you can read a book on economics, that's not for everyone. Some people, that's a snooze fest for some people. I might just be autistic,
No,
but
I've taken several. I have an international business degree, so I took like at least 4 or 5 economics classes. I really enjoy economics. I don't know a lot about fascism, but I'm guessing that's not
You
really
should
one that
definitely
people
research
focus
it.
on. Yeah, I mean, I will. I don't know if I'll read a whole book, but I would like look up the key. I research it a
oh, I
little.
think it's only like I think it's less than 100 pages.
Okay.
So Bumpkin, let's get back to this because I'm ready for this to be over. It's almost been it's been over an
Okay.
hour. I also in the drop down menu hell that is this program, I did leave out some stuff in the because you notice we're not beating the monarchy thing, by the way, and there's some things here that we didn't go over, like regional autonomy. So let's hold off on the sectors real quick. You do know what regional autonomy is, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Like
basically,
states, basically.
yes. So within that, you also have who controls your nation, or what your leading class would be.
You know what I'm gonna pick?
Your labor unions.
Yep.
Oof.
I told you I'm a syndicalist, man. I never lied to you.
I mean, I don't know. I can't agree with that one.
Well, I mean, realistically, in my ideal system, it would be both corporate leaders and labor unions that would be talking amongst themselves and coming to common ground. Like realistically, that's what it would be. But if I had to, oh, Blue Jay, is that you?
Blue Jay? Well, here's my thing. I'm gonna leave. I think we should leave it to everyone because I personally think all of these people have a say. Like all of these groups should have a say in government. Your clerics, your corporate leaders, your military officials, your STEMs, and your labor unions.
I mean, maybe. I just feel like if I was going to pick one, it would be labor unions.
So out of all, like, do you think that which one of these is Blue Jay? Is she still here?
Blue Jay, which one is you?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm gonna assume this one.
So your regional autonomy, right? What do you think we should be at?
You're not gonna like my answer to that.
Huh?
I think that that region should have high autonomy.
Oof. I think it should have unequal autonomy. I'm gonna be real.
Because my ideal state is a civilizational state. So
I'm gonna be real. I do it for the meme because I like saying imperial, but then no autonomy is the thing. Because I feel like our laws should be universal across the states.
we could spin a wheel for it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Spin a wheel for it.
It's better than democracy.
Yeah, leave it to God.
Yeah, unironically. Blue Jay, I don't know what happened, but if you want to come back, you can. You're more than welcome. I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy your questions, and I'm sorry I floundered on the fascism question.
That was partly my fault. One of the reasons why you had me come up here was to answer some of those questions.
You're the fascist, and you're the executor of fascism. And by the way, we also forgot to set up our legislative and judicial branches. By the way,
Yeah, of course we did.
we only went with the executive, and then I moved on because I'm an idiot. That's why we're a monarchy, because legislative and judicial are both appointed.
Oh, that explains it. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Let's go, baby.
Look, high autonomy one. Look, high autonomy one.
Let's go. Okay, so our legislative branch, right? Should it be elected, executive, or direct vote? Our legislative branch, like our Congress and shit. I personally think this should be direct vote.
Legislative should be a direct vote.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, ideal system, it would be a direct vote by union reps. But
Okay. And the judicial, I also think the judicial should be a direct vote.
should be appointed.
Appointed?
Yeah, keep the republic.
Okay, fair. I mean, you're still a republic if you...
Oh, hey, you brought me up. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So we are no longer monarchists. Boom. All right, getting back to the sectors. All right, so media, man, I truly do think it should be 10%. Because
For the media?
yeah, because like here's the thing, right? The media isn't just the news and your publication houses. It's individuals like you and I creating content.
Okay.
So I think the vast majority of it should be privatized and with no subsidies.
You
And-
know how I feel about privatization.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there should be like one conglomerate of media for the government. It shouldn't be the only media in the nation, but it should be for the government. That's where I believe.
Okay, I could see that, but I don't know how we would really regulate that.
Well, see, here's the thing. To spread the information that we want spread, to handle infrastructure, to handle because, like, here's my thing, right? I know this is purely an economic thing on this, but going into a little detail is that would not only be a media. No, not laws. I was trying not to use the word propaganda because propaganda has a bad connotation, but any official source is actually propaganda, whether it's truthful or not. Bumpkin can...
Dude, am I engaging with him or am I not? I thought we were going to stop until we were done with this shit. But I can engage with him if you want. The crazy thing about Not Laws is he does it on purpose too. He'll never come up on panel. He'll never give me a proper debate.
I was deferring to you because I was going to ask a question. I had to bite my tongue.
See, they. Okay.
Did he
okay.
not hear it? Okay.
See, they'll say where's it at? Why is he typing so fucking fast? Hold on. Publicly used tax dollars to pay for state media is stupid as fuck. Would you say the same thing about healthcare? Would you say the same thing about everything else that you and I both primarily support? Why does it change when it comes to media? Why are leftists so hung up and gung-ho about letting media sell lies to the population? I would argue that currently, as we stand, mainstream media lies and publicizes shit higher than a state would. Have you turned on the news? Have you seen how the American media operates? Have you seen how they shill for massive mega corporations? This fucking guy, man.
Yeah, and
it's like he's in. Dude, it's legitimately he's in his worldview. Anything that deviates from his worldview a little bit is wrong, no matter what. And then he calls us the closed-minded one. Absolutely, 1000%.
It's like being called a bigot by leftists because bigot doesn't mean racist like they think it does. It just means somebody who's closed-minded. It's annoying. That's why I referred to you because it's like, bruh, fuck these people. But no, like, so media, basically, the media in general, right? People don't think of it for what it is. The media is just the industry of processing information and distributing information. Technically, the little sirens that blare when there's a storm coming, technically that's media.
Yeah.
So, like, when I say that 10% should be owned publicly, I'm talking about literally everything that, like, there should be a central state news station that just gives out data and what's going on in your region. It should process storm and like regional weather updates, things like that. Most entertainment media should be completely funded, completely private sector. There would be regulations on what could be produced, but it should be private sector. There should be no subsidies at all, and it should be taxed at a higher corporate and personal and consumption tax.
Sure, man.
I mean, do you agree, or
I mean,
are you just tired?
I'm not. I'm beginning to awaken, I guess. Sure, man. I mean, it's honestly whatever. I think I genuinely disagree. I don't like the idea of private media, but it's whatever, right?
Well, what we're doing now is private media.
I know exactly, but I don't use that boomer argument. You know what I mean?
It's not a boomer argument. It's a factual argument.
What you are currently using, well, they do the same thing to the commies. You're using a smartphone, right? Why are you advocating for communism? You know you wouldn't have that smartphone in communism, right? Yes, if I lived in this system, I definitely would not be online talking about politics, would I?
Fair. But I'm talking about the production of content, the production of actual media. So what do you think we should have it as in public ownership?
Pumpkin, you're the loudest swallower ever. It's so funny.
Sorry.
You must have a really good...
Reminds me of my ex. I should call her.
You probably just have a good microphone, but
I do have a very good microphone. I'm gonna tip that back a little bit. Was it a very dramatic swallow? My bad.
Yes, it was.
I'm
several.
sorry.
It makes me want coffee though. So.
Fine. Put public ownership. Can we do 15% public ownership?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, for what we would want it to do, I think 30 would be a good compromise. To be honest, because here's the thing, right? I get where you're coming from, and I agree, but most of the issues that we're talking about would be regulatory, not actual media production. It would be handled in the executive office, not you know. Hold on one second, my phone's ringing.
How's chat going? How's it going?
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
So basically, there should be no subsidies for private media. It should be an endeavor that you do for yourself. You should be taxed, I would say, a corporate tax of at least 35%. A personal tax rate of, I'd say, 20.
Okay.
And a consumption tax equal to that of the income tax. So, all right, finance. Finance. What do you feel about finance? How much of that should be public or privately owned?
I don't feel like two bullets going in the back of my head today, so I think it should be fully privatized, you know?
All right.
No, it should be...
And all the subsidies?
And all the subsidies, yeah. Public ownership of finance... does that actually entail, though? Are we talking about Wall Street?
Yes, Wall Street and your local bank. Essentially.
Oh, Wall Street Local Bank, put that public all the way up, baby.
All the way up to 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not beating the commie accusations, am I?
Alright. So, basically, yeah. Alright, so healthcare. I think a 50-50 mix.
I've always advocated for a 50-50 mix on healthcare. I think that we can create a public sector of healthcare. There should be, not laws, take a listen. There should be public free healthcare, but there should also be a private sector because they can compete against each other, right? You should force new doctors, right, that are fresh out of med school, or nurses or CNAs or whatever, to have to do 4 to 6 years in the public sector, and then after that time has lapsed, then they can move into the private sector.
Well, there should be no consumption tax on healthcare.
No, absolutely not.
Now, the taxation for for private corporations and all the employees, I think we can leave it where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
So retail, public or private, where should it be at? Our whole public sector. Here is the way. Here is the way that you encourage doctors. You give them a 15% increase on the average pay scale. That's how you get new doctors to want to do public medicine. You know, without the whole public medicine is slavery.
All right. Now in retail,
retail. I'm gonna be real. The retail should be 100% privately owned.
Yeah, I don't know if I want government issued Nikes.
You know what? There should be a 5%. It should be 5% because we should give MREs out as food stamps. I'm kidding.
I mean, MREs would not be a bad idea for food stamps, unironically.
But the corporate tax would have to be very high.
Absolutely high as shit.
I'd say 70%.
Yeah, absolutely.
The worker tax would remain the same, and consumption taxes, because that's a direct people thing, would be dropped to, I'd say, 4%.
Sure.
Okay, wait, what? Can you go back to the corporate tax? You want to do what with that one?
Bump up the corporate tax on income of the corporations and like Walmart and whatnot. Increase that to about 70%.
And this is just for retail.
What is it now?
I believe it is 8% now.
You want to put it from 8 to 70, and you don't think they're going to leave the country?
No, I don't. I don't think they will. I don't think they will at all. Walmart makes more money than most countries.
This is true.
Right, but they also employ a lot of people.
Yeah, but they also because of their wage practices, they also leave a lot of the responsibility of the income to the government, because like the majority of Walmart employees are on like they don't make enough money.
Right, but
they're on welfare.
That same cashier, customer assistant position the same in all, in every store like that, but the only difference is they just have a lot of them because they're big.
What's the question again?
So say there's like a Walgreens, or maybe even something smaller, like the equivalent of like a mini Target or something, but those workers that have that same job, whether it's a cashier or a greeter or, whatever their job is at Walmart, don't they get paid the same comparison as Walmart? Aren't they making the same wage?
No. Walmart was lagging behind for the longest in paying their employees. Here's the thing, right? If Walmart wants to, here's the purpose of a corporate tax from a National Socialist perspective, right? If they want to make more profit, they'll employ workers more, because the corporate tax is a tax on their profit. It's not a tax on operating expenses, and they would get tax cuts based on certain things like workers' wages and other expenses.
So their profit, though, is also the labor's into account on their profit, right? Or no? What do you
Well,
mean by that?
profit is definitionally the money after all of your expenses have been paid.
You're talking about their revenue.
Yeah.
But
No. Revenue is all income from sales.
okay, so gross profit or net, basically, like what
You're,
the company holds
you're
at the end of the year. But wouldn't that go if they had to pay the employees more? That would naturally go down, right?
no. Henry Ford proved to us that if you pay your employees more, your employees give more money back to your corporation.
So you think they'd make the same amount even if they paid the employees more?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious what you meant by that.
Like this is mine and Bumpkin's utopia, right? This is not. I mean, like a corporate tax on Walmart 70% would be like trying to publicize all national banks. You'd get a bullet in your head. The Waltons ain't gonna play with their money.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily like questioning the feasibility. I'm just trying to understand your mindset and like why you think what basically, the domino effect is from your choices
Well,
and just kind of understanding.
I agree with not lost here. If you're, my thing is, I want to destroy corporations. I don't want them to exist unless they're a public good and a net positive for the nation. Because
So,
Walmart actively destroys ma and pa shops. Because here's the thing, right? When you're a corporation, your corporate tax is, as far as I know, what I've been told by business owners in my local area, they don't have to pay a corporate tax. Corporate tax is for large multinational corporations. That's true or not?
That is
so
true.
the cost of goods will definitely go up, and so you're factoring that in.
Yes.
Okay.
I think because here's the thing: the cost of goods go up anyway. Because here's the thing: and I have documentation on this and government studies for this. Walmart will go into an area, lower prices, run out all the mom and pop and local businesses that are in retail, and then jack prices up to 250%.
No, not laws, because we don't
E-
believe.
Even with online shopping, they can do that.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do fight quite frequently do that.
we believe in private property, and we believe, right?
Yeah, I don't believe corporations are people. They're not
Yeah,
capable of being private.
corporations aren't people. That does not make you a communist.
Yeah, like you in order to be private, you have to be a human and or a sentient alien.
So it's quite a bit different than capitalism, though. So
Yeah, that remember what I said, right? It's this idea that it's a third option of those two, because historically speaking, there's really only been those two options, right?
they've tried socialism in Cuba, Venezuela. They've tried
Right,
it.
but
No, they
they're
tried
so
communism. They tried communism in
that
Venezuela, and
No,
their
they tried
so
socialism.
their socialism though was through the Marxist lens,
which
right?
is communism.
Right, because the if you're trying Marxist socialism, like it is a stepping stone for communism.
Well, socialism just means you tax the citizens so much to pay for everything for them that they don't have a
No,
lot left to decide for
no,
themselves.
no, that's not socialism.
What's your definition of socialism?
Hold on.
Communism is when the government do stuff? I'm sorry. Bro.
What are you talking? What are you talking about?
Not laws. Sorry. You want to use government power to erode corporate power. You are a communist. You are using the government to implement your measures. And I responded by saying, communism is when the government do stuff? Yes, it is. You can't make this shit up.
See, here's the issue. Here's the issue, right? Because of the dialectics that we engage in, the definition of socialism is literally just communism. Socialism is a
they're
system of
different. I mean,
no. According to the dictionary, socialism is just a collective of hold on. Socialism, economic and political philosophy based on social ownership of the means of production. That's communism. That's public
Yep.
ownership. And that's the problem, because that we've allowed retarded people, and I'm not talking about anybody or anything. I'm saying like, because
well,
we've
wait,
allowed
wait. Communist, you don't own. Socialism, you do. It's like a stock. You know, if you own a stock.
but the government owns it. The public sector owns it. You know, it's public ownership. That's communism. And that's why
Sorry,
that's
did
why
I
I'm
cut
telling
out?
that's what no,
But
that's
communist,
why,
you're not an owner.
yeah,
Well, technically,
that's what I'm saying. And
everyone is an owner, but that's not the
yeah,
point.
it's owned by the government. It's owned by the people. You're not an individual owner. Individual ownership, private ownership, is what separates communism, capitalism, and fascism, and even socialism to a degree, from communism. In socialist societies, all a social society is taking. You don't have to be a high tax society either. It's taking a portion of the funds that you collect in taxes and reinvesting it specifically into your people, your society.
Well, I think in socialism, the people have more of a say. It's more of a democracy than a communist, which is more of a dictatorship. So they tell
Well,
you where the money is going. Whereas socialism, you do have input.
Well,
It's just most people don't.
that is a fair compromise on what we're talking about, but there's differences that have been eroded, and people kind of have forgotten what they are. So, I digress. Let's get this over with. This is becoming a slog. All right,
Jeez.
manufacturing, Bumpkin, public or private?
Manufacturing, public.
Yeah, public. How much?
Let's go 60.
Okay, 60%.
I think there still needs to be some private manufacturing.
I also think there should be subsidies.
Yes.
How much though?
Let's
That's
do.
Let's say
do-
20, 25.
I was gonna go 30, but
No, we can go 30.
no, 25 works. I like 25.
All right, the corporate tax for private manufacturing.
For private manufacturing,
Mhm.
let's put that at 30.
It'd be 30. And the consumption tax, import tariffs, export tariffs, and all this is fine. So what should the wages and prices be for the public goods?
Wages and prices be for the public goods.
Yeah, because we're doing the public sector.
Oh, fuck.
Should it be a fair market value, or should we increase the prices?
Fair
To make a
market
profit.
value.
All right, so wages for for public workers who work in public corporations, should it be a fair market value, or should there be an increase? I personally here's where I say fuck the worker, and it should be fair market value, whatever your private part.
I would say not that, but
Well, I mean, you shouldn't. Here's the thing about manufacturing, right? It's not education, it's not science, and it's not medical care. It is a job that needs to be done, and I think you should get the same wages as your private corporate counterparts.
but the state should always be better.
Okay, so we'll give them a 5% boost.
Okay. Nothing outside of the state, everything within the state.
You're not beating the communist allegations. We're ever moving slightly
That
left.
was not a communist quote.
I know, it was a fascist quote.
You know who said that quote?
A homosexual.
No.
I just don't like ill deuce. All right, I'm gonna be real. Construction.
I don't like ill deuce. Oh, what are you, gay? I'm just.
No, I'm a real man. I'm a national socialist.
I'm a real man. I'm a national socialist. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Mustache Man basically was like, ha 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 ha, do what I say. And Muslim was like, yeah, it's a man. It's like, yeah, it's a...
That's not how that happened at all.
That is exactly how that happened.
Who survived longer?
Who was killed by their own people?
Wow, you're gonna use that argument on my side of politics, knowing damn well that he wasn't killed by his own people?
I've learned well.
Knowing damn
My
well he was killed by communists?
and communists aren't people.
So with both communism and socialism, like a high percentage of the population is going to work for, the state or the government, basically. Is that how you envision?
Yes, and you can use the term like government, right? When we're using the term like government, we're looking at it from our lens currently, right? An oligarchic, corporate ran hierarchy. What I like to say is the state, right? Which the state is the collection of the people, right? That's why I advocate for stuff like national syndicalism, for instance, right? That's why I advocate
You
for stuff
say
like
National Socialism.
So like basically in your scenario, like take a Walmart, for instance, right? It would be owned by the state, and then the CEO and all the people would be hired by
No.
the state. That would be communist or
No,
socialist.
in my ideal system, Walmart would still be owned as a CEO, but there would be a labor union committee and there would be a corporate committee, and they would get together and negotiate on what is a proper wage, right? And the
So
state would be the apparatus.
democracy.
Yeah, the state, right? The state would be the state would be pretty much the mediator between those two. I just explained national syndicalism very mediocrely, but that's that, right? The state does have the final say because someone has to, right? But at the end of the day, they would be able to negotiate, and the state's there to make sure neither side take too much.
So would they be publicly owned, publicly traded?
No. The unions would have power to be able to strike. The corporations would have power to be able to try to, do corporate stuff like lower wages and stuff like that. The state's there to mediate, to stop those things from happening and make them talk.
So the founders of these corporations would have basically a glass ceiling. They'd be capped with a salary of some sort.
I most likely yes, but that
Wait,
would
no. That's not how that would work because under corporatism, you don't have founders of corporations. The state sets up the corporation.
So that would not really work because you need creators. And
that would work though because most businesses and most new technologies, one, are funded by the government. Our government, because it's not profitable to do these things, these new endeavors. It's not profitable to invent or innovate. And two, most of these quote unquote founders get a lot of their money from government investment. And if they were the founder of the company, they wouldn't be paid by the company or anything. They would get a portion of the profits.
Okay, so a little bit of contention here. Just from a historical standpoint, that is not real. It was a mixture, right? There was some corporation that was set up by the government in Italian fascism, but there were corporations that were not set up by the government that
most
were
were
privately
startups. Yeah, they were almost all startups that were like either went public or they were bought.
Like for instance, Porsche, right? That made the majority of the military vehicles for Italy was a private entity that still was in the corporate in the corporate entity that was a part of their economic system, and it still operated the same as a state set up company. So Orthodox. I think it'd be a mixture. I think that's the only realistic way to go about it. Honestly.
Right, because you need to factor in motivation.
Shalom. Hello.
My bad. I didn't realize I was muted. So construction, I'm gonna pretty much keep. I think we should keep it the same as manufacturing, but with more privatization. You know,
Sure.
keep it at like 30%. I went ahead and adjusted all the subsidies. Give the public sector that 5% boost. All right, here's the big one: agriculture. How much should be publicly owned?
What if we do a 50-50?
I would say 60-40. I think the vast majority.
60-40?
I think the majority of it should be privately owned, but the government needs to own farmland and agricultural processing facilities to one, feed the military, two, have an emergency stockpile, and three, have an extra source of income.
Sure.
Subsidies. I'm a believer in the farm subsidies. I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that.
Yeah, just 100% subsidies.
Okay,
Maybe
wait.
not 100.
So the farms are not privately owned.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
The majority of them are privately owned.
So corporations are not, but farms are.
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually kind of similar to how it's set up now, honestly.
Yeah. And the subsidies would be like 60% corporate tax rate. That sort of thing stays the same, right? Consumption. All right, natural resources, publicly or privately owned. I'd say 70-30.
Yeah.
So what's the rationale behind the agriculture being privately owned and the corporation being publicly owned or government owned, I guess?
Because the majority of the situation as it is now is the majority of people or of farms now are privately owned by like small farmers, besides like a handful of mega farms that are owned by massive corporations. So my like ideological linings would pertain that I don't want to, take away a livelihood from a population of Americans because of my ideology, but I would because they're individuals and they've been farming for generations. But
Okay.
as far as corporations that have no allegiance to the nation or the people and they sell them out every chance they get, and they are not
No.
people.
They have shareholders. All corporations are publicly owned.
No.
Yeah, they're
Shareholders does not mean
publicly traded.
owned.
Not
Yes,
every
it does.
corporation is a publicly owned business.
The ones that you're talking about are the large ones.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I need to look that up.
They don't have stock.
No, actually. Yeah, here's a list of yeah, no, yeah. Wow, that's a
What do you mean? Okay, you got a list
that's
of
a,
like
that's
what?
a lot. So here's a list of the top 120, and this is worldwide. of corporations that are privately owned and when you have something that's privately owned, it means that it's not a
Well, if you take the whole world, though, that's going to be
well
all
most of
kinds of
them most
different
of them
government
are,
systems.
most of them are in the U.S.
Okay, okay.
Like yeah, the lion's share of these are in the U.S. It's either the U.S., the United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, France, or there are a couple in China, which I'm surprised. But then again, through their trade deals, there are some. Uh, oh damn! I didn't know Flying J was. I thought it was traded on the stock market.
Damn, State Farm?
Yeah. So like, here's the difference, right? Corporations exist because they are they are necessary, right? You have to pull together these resources and this investment to create something like a manufacturing facility or something like that. Farms are different as in they are individual income. Like they're like typically when they're owned by an individual, they typically serve the purposes of one family. It's weird. It's a lot of nuanced discussion that like I'm really trying to
No, I mean, I understand
zoom
like a
through.
sole proprietor. You're talking about a sole proprietor or an
Yeah.
LLC or,
Yeah.
but
If
and
you're
then a corporation it's just a tax term,
if
really.
you're if you're a solely owned business, like I don't think me and Bumpkin, I think we can agree. If you're a solely owned business, you don't count as a corporation, even if you're big.
I think it depends on how many employees you have, right?
I'm not sure. So natural, yeah, we just did natural resources. Let's do real estate.
Real estate?
Yeah.
I'm not beating the commie accusations with real estate, bro. Can we skip real estate?
No, I think it should be 20%. Because I think most of these things could be dealt with strong regulations
I hate
instead of
landlords.
instead.
20% of what?
20% public is what he means.
Well, this isn't landlords. It's just the buying and selling of property. In this example, this isn't landlords.
So 20% of the property is not each property you own 20% and the government owns 80 or whatever, right? So
No, it's the level. It's the percentage of industry that is owned. Like how many businesses?
oh, you're not talking about personal.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Not laws, please, bro. I don't have the energy for this nigga today, dude.
This negroid. All right, so I'm just gonna make the executive decision.
Subsidy zero?
Yeah.
Why subsidy zero?
Because if you're a landlord, you shouldn't get government subsidies.
Yep, 10-4.
And I'm gonna be real. Buying and selling a house should not be seen as an investment. It should be seen as starting a family.
This is true.
That's why I'm actually killing it on the sales tax. Rent tax.
There should
What
be
would
no
qualify
rent
as a
tax.
subsidy for
Uh,
a landlord? You're not talking about tax cuts, right? You're
So-
talking about
no, it would be subsidy. Like it's like Section 8. How if it's like how you have pseudo government housing, where it's a privately owned business or a privately owned housing authority, but the government basically dictates who live there, and they just hand over money, hand over fist to landlords. I don't care to elaborate further because it's something that actually angers the fuck out of me.
I hate landlords, bro.
So you'd believe more in like the idea of a projects type thing where the government owns all of the
No.
subsidized housing units, not
Yes.
private owners.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's government housing, let it be government housing. There we go. So
Change something, change something, change something.
change something. What do you want me to change?
I don't like the governing system. I don't like the governing system.
I don't like the governance
Look
system.
at the last word in governing system.
Oh, it's always gonna say monarchy.
Really?
It's a glitch in the thing. Here.
Like, why did we?
If you have if you have an individual as your executive, it automatically does monarchy.
What the fuck is that? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, unless it's a direct vote.
That's really
Well,
dumb.
change that then. Change that and see what it populates instead, because that'd be the next closest.
Well, elected would be a Republican monarchy.
Why even bother doing the whole thing then if it gives you only three? Like if it's all based on that one.
I guess we would just have to ignore the last word, monarchy. So we said.
Sorry, I can't see it. It's kind of small and I'm on my phone, so I'm just listening to what you guys say.
Here's the thing, right? The reason that it gives you a monarchy is, hold on one second. They caught a lot of flack when they created this. They caught a lot of flack when they created it because they gave actual governing systems in the real world, and this was created in 2018 at the height of the censorship issue. And like they would have stuff like National Socialism, Fascist Republic, like with Italy, another thing. They used a random word generator based off what was acceptable.
Yeah, you think though that like, I mean, it just seems like it would defeat the purpose of even doing everything else if they only let you have like a few options, right? Because maybe you're doing it to make sure you avoid a certain type of government, and so you're using it for that reason. If it comes out fascist, then you're like terrified of being a fascist. You'd be like, oh my gosh, what do I need to take out, change? Like it just seems like just be honest, you know, not you, the program.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay. But I think what the most important thing here is not even the governing system. It's the structure, the economic system, and the social system. The structure says unitary nation state. The governing system says constitutional.
Oh no, the problem is us.
So that would be like, you know, Denmark, like Sweden, those places where they all have basically mono, what do you call it, ethnic, where they're basically all the natives from generations, and then they have the same religion. So that'd be like a Unitarian, right?
Yeah.
And
That's the
then
problem.
obviously Constitution, we know what that is.
Is the problem us?
No, it's the problem is in the coding for the website.
Okay, so yeah, like structure, unitary, nation state, governing system, constitutional, participatory, republic.
Because the way the coding works, if you look at it, Alex, I posted the link. If it's an individual, it basically
Auto goes to monarchy.
yeah. If it's a group, it's a democracy. It's a true or false thing with it.
Yeah.
So even though communist, fascist, I'm sure there's more, it would be also single.
Yeah,
or however you said it. They
Yeah.
just,
yeah.
those
It's
will
because of
never
the
come up.
it's because of the flack they caught. That's why this website no longer exists, and you have to use the Wayback Machine. Because here I'll post the link if anybody's interested.
If you could get the real one, I would do it, but otherwise it seems kind of pointless.
Well, the problem is like it just sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks that it was done. But every aside from like I know Flow State's gonna be a disingenuous butthead and say because it said I'm a monarchist, I'm still a monarchist. I don't see how you can be a Republican monarchy. I don't see how that is plausible.
It's not.
Well, like the UK is technically a monarchy, but then they have a prime minister that's voted for. So it's kind of both, right? Because they still have a queen and a king, but
They're
they don't have
also
a lot
not.
of
They're
right. But
also
that's the
not a
closest
republic.
thing to a monarchy that. Well, they're a republican in the way that they vote, right? Or no? Or is
No,
that not?
no, no. That's not how that works. A Republican is a specific form of governance. So everything else, like I'm an authoritarian nativist. I've never once said I wasn't. I'm not a communist, nor am I a capitalist. I believe in a mixed economy. I believe that private property should be written, and I have always been in favor of a unitary state where our constitution and our laws are universal across the board. There are some caveats. There are some caveats where there are regional things and regional issues that need to be expressed, but it is what it is.
So would the justice system be other than your punishment? You know, your like obviously your sentencing rules may vary, but as far as like the trials and the what do you call it, where they ask for like a retrial, I forget what they call that.
Um,
Would that all be the
appeals.
same?
Yeah,
Appeals, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Flo made the coding. He specifically made the coding to where it called me a monarchist. It was the long con, even before he knew me. I blame Flo for this. You can put that in one of the montages.
Why does he
Um,
call you that if you're
I think he
self-proclaimed
just likes
fascist?
I think he just likes messing with me about it.
Wouldn't he be more mad that you would say you're a fascist? Do you think that's worse, right?
No, I love fascism.
Well, I'm just saying, like from an outsider view, if he
I am an
accuses someone,
authoritarian. I like our little utopia, man. We have a budget surplus of almost 10% of the GDP.
you're talking about the government has that
Yeah,
much extra. What do
yeah.
they do
Here,
with it? Because usually they pocket it.
hey man, look. You're not a member of the party, all right? You can't be asking these
don't worry
questions.
about what we're
Don't.
doing
No,
here
there's
tonight.
that's what they do. They'll put it in their own little funds,
but
like
Hookers and
exactly what
blow
Trump's
fun.
getting rid of right now is all these weird little campaigns all over
in
the
in
place.
my perfect world, it would be saved up, and every 10 years, it would be spent on doing stuff for the nation, like infrastructure improvements, one-time grants to certain activities and things that are necessary,
Oh, dude,
throwing national festivals.
I would have giant, huge national building situations.
See,
No reason to be homeless. Help build a road.
everything that like this is I like this. I like this one. I'm gonna save this one to be fair.
Would you keep your budgets that you allocated, you know, to different states or however you want to call it, in your system?
Yes.
Would you adjust the budgets if they did not seem to need their full budget amount from the year prior, or would you just assume they were very frugal and allow them to have that
I would not
left?
increase. I would not increase it,
Right, no.
but I
But
would. I
would
would
you
keep it. I
decrease
would
it?
keep it. I would keep it the same because it allows them to have a surplus for emergencies.
Okay.
There would be regulations in place that just because you have a surplus doesn't mean we're going to lower your budget, but it also doesn't mean that everybody gets raises either.
But I like raises.
Right, yeah, that part, that makes sense.
I'm just joking. Um,
So where would
So
your
so
overall revenue, so say you didn't take their surplus, you allowed them to keep it, right? So where does the full body surplus come from if it's not coming from individual parts?
you know what? Hold on. I don't like that military spending.
Budget deficit is now down in the red.
There we go.
0.2%. Oh.
There we go.
So
Budget.
how
I'm an
much?
imperialist, but I don't like the military spending.
How much?
I increase the
would you change
military
it?
spending.
Oh, okay. Where does yours compare to, like, for instance, the United States military budget right now?
I think it's equal actually, if not a little bit more. Hold on.
So it's about 10 to 15 times higher than anyone other country. So you're for
Exactly.
like high government. Okay, me too. I agree with that.
Blue Jay, you never answered my question when we first met. What flavor of vape do you like?
Right now I have like a straw banana ice.
Oh, you like
but
the
I usually,
ices?
yeah, I like them with some of them. I've tried some I don't like that much, but I usually get like a fruit. Not really like I got a mango one. I don't like it very much. More like berry, not really
So,
citrus.
so I just want to point out, right,
Okay.
that in our fictional nation, right, we have a bigger freedom budget by over double the U.S. currently spends. The U.S. currently spends 3.5. In our fictional nation state, we spend 7.7 on military,
Oh,
and
well,
we're still at a deposit. This is why socialism works. In theory, I should say, in theory.
sorry, not to go totally. We'll go back to it, but Bumpkin, what about you? What kind of vapes do you like?
Right now, I like the ices too. Right now, I got a Hawaiian tropical ice. Is what I'm.
Ooh, that
is
sounds
what I'm
good.
doing.
Is
It's not
that
bad.
what
It
brand
sounds
is it?
favorable. It's called a Pixie, I guess. I don't know.
Is it disposable or oil?
Disposable.
Okay, I haven't seen those. I'll have to look for it. I get like the Geek bars usually, or like
I usually do geek bars too because the store I go to get the geek bars, they give a first responder discount. So that's why I usually go there and get geek bars.
oh nice. I like how it tells you exactly how much power and juice was left.
Yeah.
Instead of guessing. Okay, sorry,
And by
Arthur.
and by the way, you can make those last way longer than what the juice says. Fun fact.
Yeah, sometimes I have tried it, and I can kind of start to tell when it gets burnt, but it is a little bit later than it says. Yeah, for sure.
So basically, the findings of our little utopian project is Bumpkin made me into a communist. His influences, but we're both statists. That is obvious, and unless
I've never lied about that.
yeah, neither. Like, if you want to call me a monarchist because I'm a statist, sure.
Okay,
guess.
so are you in preference of this system as an elite or as a commoner?
I believe in meritocracy.
So
I believe I
you,
don't care about elitism or being a commoner. I think that you pull yourself up by your bootstraps in a system that allows it. The current system we have don't allow it. They just say it because they don't want to pay for they don't want to help you. They don't want to pay for your education. They don't want to do anything. They want you to flounder on your own. But I think that if we gave everyone as close as possible to an equal access to resources. Because here's my thing. I don't
but
mind having
that
equal
wouldn't be
access to
meritocracy, though. Meritocracy is based
yeah, it
on
would.
effort. It's
Yeah,
based on results and
yeah,
production.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
everybody is capable of that same level
And the
of
people that
production.
aren't capable still have access to those resources, but they just don't do it because they're not capable. They have access to those resources, they just don't utilize them.
You can't have a
But is their
merit.
quality of life the same?
That doesn't
Communism
matter.
and merit-based don't go hand in hand.
I'm not a communist.
Yeah.
I thought you just said you weren't a communist.
Communism is not equal to equal resource. It is equal outcome. It is forcing an equal outcome. You cannot force an
Right.
outcome to be equal. If you give
But
somebody access to equal resources, that means that you have a true meritocracy because some rich kid doesn't just get to go to college and jump in front of the line. If there's a poor child who is smart, who is just as smart and capable as them, that means that they have the government or someone else, whether it be a charity or the government, paying for their education, and they have the same opportunities that rich kid has. Thus, you increase meritocracy because
so
now you
you
have the
don't
best
believe in
person for the job.
okay, so you don't believe in like private, like specialized schools, or like basically
You,
better schools.
I don't get how that. I
Well,
don't.
because if you're rich and you can pay for your kid to go to a good school, it doesn't matter if he's smart or not. He's going to be more knowledgeable because he'll be taught what you need to know to
My
go
sister in
merit.
Christ, we have access to the internet and like the book of the Library of Alexandria. Like,
If you live in a home where your parents don't speak proper English, they're abusive, maybe your power goes out all the time, there's going to be disadvantages in certain homes, whether you have the internet or not.
fair, but that goes into the point. That goes into the point where we can't force an equal outcome. We have to allow for equal resources, not an equal outcome.
You
You
don't
can.
like communism then?
No, I don't.
Oh, I
I
thought you just said you did like communism. That's why I was so confused. I
no,
was like,
no. I said Bumpkin
like
made
Mary.
me. I said Bumpkin made me a communist.
And
Oh,
he was
okay.
joking when he
Yeah,
said
I
that
was
because
telling you.
I'm
I
not
was
a
telling you a joke.
communist.
That you meant like he talked
I'm saying
you
he
into
brought my total score to the left.
it. Okay, I just want to make sure
Because
I'm like,
like
wait, meritocracy and communism are different.
Even Flo will admit that I'm right wing as fuck. That's the only reason I don't like using that, because it is a teaching aid, and they're a little bit flawed. It's like how the political compass test, if you don't like corporations, you're automatically a communist.
Oh my god, dude, that shit throws me so far left. It's insane.
Yeah, it makes me and Stalin like the same person.
It makes me install on the same exact person, bro. Exactly.
So would you guys be considered alt-right?
I mean, I was actually.
I haven't heard that
Yo,
phrase
right.
in
If
years.
you're as right as you go, right? That's what you just said.
I mean, I literally was
a
a member of the alt right.
Okay.
I produced shows for David Duke, talked to Richard Spencer. Me and Richard Spencer have a blood beef. I told him that I would treat. I told him that I'd punch him in front of a camera.
Is he part of the KKK or something?
No, I just don't like Richard
No.
Spencer.
I don't know who that is. That's what I'm saying. I know who David Duke is, but
Honestly,
who's Richard Spencer?
unpopular opinion, David Duke, like on an individual level, he's not that bad of a guy.
David Duke's actually a pretty chill guy.
I don't think I've ever heard him like in a private conversation say anything bad about any group of people, which is wild because it's David Duke.
He's the Grand Wizard of the KKK. That's what makes it so great.
It's
Yeah, I've
ridiculous.
never heard him speak or anything. I just have heard the name, but who's the other guy?
Richard Spencer. David Duke will literally just tell you. David Duke will just tell you to eat broccoli and do push-ups.
Yeah. But
Is
Richard
Spencer? Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Richard Spencer was like, he's still around. He was like an intellectual type.
He's a ruthless urbanite who deserves to be shot.
Yeah, he was more of like a part of like the urbanite, suburban, white nationalist sphere. He was very intellectual, but he's more like an armchair intellectual. Very limp-wristed, very effeminate voice. Fucking hate
A
Richard
hypocrite.
A hypocrite, yes. He would constantly talk about, white identity and
don't
white
race
birthright.
mix, but literally in one stream, there's a naked black woman sneaking out of his closet.
Yeah.
Like, unironically, that's something that happened.
Okay, one of those guys, yeah.
Yeah,
So
one of those guys.
His stance, supposedly, though, is like
Well, no, he
secular.
He doesn't have a real stance, Blue Jay, because like he changes his stance.
Oh,
He
even
changes
publicly?
it. Yeah, publicly. Yeah, he changed.
Okay.
I don't even know what his actual stance is now. So, Bumpkin, do you want to go over the 25 points, or you want
to? Do I want to?
Yeah, do you want to do your fascism 25 points, or should I do my National Socialist 25 points?
We could do both.
I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna do the 26 points program by the Falange. This is by Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera. This was the Falange fascist party in Spain. Historical context, the reason why people don't call was the Spanish leader again? Orthodox guy, help me.
How long ago are you talking?
World War II. The one that won the Spanish Civil War.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Please, Orthodox guy, holy shit, please. This motherfucker. Ah. Okay. Anyways, it's debated that he's a fascist because he killed this
Just
guy,
look it up
basically.
real quick. Right, you
Yeah.
just Google it real quick.
Francisco Franco. That's whenever these discussions get brought up. People try to claim Franco's a fascist. He was not. He killed a fascist leader. Anyways, here we go. It starts out with Nation Unity Empire. We believe in the supreme reality of Spain. The strengthening, elevating, and magnifying of this reality is the urgent collective goal of all Spaniards. Individual, group, and class interests must inexorably give way in order to achieve this goal. 2. Spain has a single destiny in the world. Every conspiracy against this common unity is repulsive. Any kind of separatism is a crime which harden the existing constitution to the degree that it encourages disintegration, weakens this common destiny of Spain. Therefore, we demand its annulment in a thundering voice. We have the determination to build an empire. We affirm that Spain's historic fulfillment lies in empire. We claim for Spain a preeminent position in Europe. We can tolerate neither international isolation nor foreign interference. As regards the countries of Hispanic America, we favor unification of their culture, economic interests, and power. Spain will continue to act as the spiritual axis of the Hispanic world as a sign of her preeminence in worldwide enterprises. 4. Our armed forces on land, sea, and in the air must be kept trained sufficiently large to assure to Spain at all times its complete independence and a status in the world that benefits it. We shall bestow upon our armed forces of land, sea, and air all the dignity they merit, and we shall cause their military conceptions of life to infuse every aspect of Spanish life. God, there's 26 of these points, dude. Sorry.
They're like so vague, huh? They probably get more specific, I would think.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
State, individual liberty. Our state will be a totalitarian instrument to defend the integrity of the fatherland. All Spaniards will participate in this through their various family, municipal, and syndical roles. There shall be no participation in it by political parties. We shall implicitly abolish the system of political parties and all of their consequences. An organic suffrage, representations of clashing groups, and a parliament of the type that is all too well known. 7. Human dignity, integrity, and freedom are eternal, intangible values, but one is not really free unless he is a part of a strong and free nation. No one will be permitted to use his freedom against the nation, which is the bulwark of the fatherland's freedom. Rigorous discipline will prevent any attempt to envenom and disunite the Spanish people or to incite them against the destiny of the fatherland. That is going into like the underlining fascist idea of, personal freedom is only as good as it is used for national security. Pretty much that, freedom can also become too extreme. The national syndicalist state will permit all kinds of private initiatives that are compatible with the collective interests, and it will also protect and encourage the profitable ones. That's point 8. Economy, labor, class struggle. 9. Our conception of Spain is in the economic realm is that of a gigantic syndicate of producers. We shall organize Spanish society cooperatively through a system of vertical syndicates for the various fields of production, all working towards national economic unity. 10. We repudiate the capitalistic system, which shows no understanding of the needs of the people, dehumanizes private property, and causes workers to be lumped together in a shapeless, miserable mass of people who are filled with desperation. Our spiritual and national conception of life also repudiates Marxism. We shall direct and impetuousness of those working classes who today are led astray by Marxism, and we shall seek to bring them into direct participation in fulfilling the great task of the national state. The national syndicalist state will not cruelly stand apart from man's economic struggles. Oh, fuck that. A national conception of life also repudiates Marxism. We shall direct the impetuousness of those working classes who today are led astray by Marxism, and we shall seek to bring them into direct participation in fulfilling the great task of the national state. I don't care, Shenard. I don't care. We're not, no. Nope, we're not doing it today. I'm making an executive decision.
What do you think? I was looking at the comments. What's up, Kingslayer?
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone now.
Oh, are you guys not friends anymore? Okay.
Never was a friend with Shenard. I just put up with him.
Okay.
So, as you can see, they are reprimanding the capitalist system, reprimanding the Marxist or communist system as well, right? The National Socialist state will not cruelly stand apart from the man's economic struggles, nor watch impassively while the strongest class dominates the weakest. Our regime will eliminate the very roots of class struggle, and because all who work together in production shall compromise one single organic entity, we reject and we shall prevent at all costs selfish interests from abusing others, and we shall halt anarchy in the fields of labor relations. The first duty of wealth and our state shall so affirm is to better the conditions of the people. It is intolerable that enormous masses of people should live wretchedly while a small number enjoy all kinds of luxuries. The state will recognize private property as a legitimate means for achieving individual, family, and social goals, and will protect it against the abuses of large-scale finance capital, speculators, and moneylenders. 14. We shall support the trend towards nationalization of banking services and through a system of corporations, the great public utilities. 15. All Spaniards have the right to work. Public agencies must, of necessity, provide support for those who find themselves in desperate straits. As we proceed towards a totally new structure, we shall maintain the strength in all the advantages that existing social legislation gives to workers. 16. Unless they are disabled, all Spaniards have the duty to work. The national syndicalist state will not give the slightest consideration to those who fail to perform some useful functions and who try to live as drones at the expense of labor of the majority. At the expense of the labor of the majority of people. Basically, if you're not disabled, unless you are disabled, if you don't work, you don't eat. Land, and this is point 17. We must at all costs raise the standard of living in the countryside, which is Spain's permanent source of food. To this end, we demand agreement that we will bring to culmination without further delay the economic and social reforms of the agricultural sector. I don't think I really have to finish this.
So do you agree with this guy or no?
Yes.
Okay, I was just looking that up too. So Franco's regime committed a series of violent human rights abuses.
This is not Franco. I should have been more specific. This is Jose Antonio Primo de Rivera. He was a fascist leader of the Falange. He was killed by Franco.
Okay. So Falangism was the political ideology of Falange Espinola de la Hoz, and okay, I see what you're saying here.
Yes.
It's considered fascist. Okay. It became authoritarian, Catholic, worse Catholicism, right?
Yep.
Bro, I really needed breakfast. I'm glad you was reading that. All right.
I'm not.
Why?
I'm tired.
Oh, you sleepy?
I'm sleepy.
I thought you were staying up all day today.
Shut your bitch ass. I have to stay up, actually. I have a protest.
We can play Rust after the stream.
I have a protest I have to go to at 1,
Okay.
I believe, today.
So Falangism supports the state have jurisdiction of setting wages. Are you also on board with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Genuinely speaking. Of course, you can't carbon copy Falangism from Spain over to the U.S. and expect it to work. Of course, there's going to be differences.
Oh, righty then.
King Shenard was here. I booted him out. I don't care.
Oh, okay. I don't care. I know his name. It's unimportant. Anyway, I'm reading the National Socialist 25-point manifesto, the NSDAP 25 points manifesto. I'm just going to speed run through this. We want all Germans to live in Germany. We want Germany to be treated the same as other nations. We want the peace treaties of Versailles to be canceled. We want land and territory to feed our people and to settle our surplus populations. Only Germans may be citizens of Germany. Only those German races may be members of the nation. Their religion does not matter. However, no Jew may be a citizen. 5, no citizens may live in Germany, but non-citizens may live in Germany, but there will be special laws for foreigners living in Germany. Only citizens can vote for parliament and councils or vote on laws. Everyone who works for the German government, a state government, or even a small village must be a citizen of Germany. We will stop giving people jobs because of the political party they are in. Only the best people should get a job. We think the government's first job is to make sure every citizen has a job and able to eat. If the government cannot do this, people who are not citizens should be made to leave. No one who is not of a German race should be allowed to live in Germany. We want anyone who is not a German race who started living in Germany after August 2nd, 1914 to leave the country. All citizens shall have equal rights and duties. Every citizen should have a job. Their work should not be selfish but help everyone. Therefore, we demand the abolition of incomes unearned by work, the breaking of slavery of interest. So many people die or lose their property in war. It is wrong for other people to make money from the war. Anyone who has made money from the war should have all the money taken away. We want all very big corporations to be owned by the government. Big industrial companies should share their profits with the workers. We want old pensions to be increased. We want to create a healthy middle class to split up big department stores and let small traders rent spaces inside them, to make state and town-owned governments try to buy from small traders. We want to change the way land is owned. We also want a law to take over the land if the country needs it without the government having to pay for it.
Hey, what number are you on? Sorry,
17.
Okay.
To abolish ground rent and to prohibit land speculation, buying land just to sell it to someone else for more money. Crimes against the common interest must be punished with death. We want the Rome law system changed for the German common law system. We want to change the system of schools of education so that every hardworking German can have the chance of higher education. Lessons should concentrate on practical things. Schools should teach civic affairs so that children can become good citizens. If a poor parent cannot afford to pay, the government should pay for education. 2, the state must protect health standards by protecting mothers and infants, stop children from working, make a law that requires people to do gymnastics and sports, supporting sports clubs for young men. We want to get rid of the old army and replace it with a people's army that would look after the ordinary people, not just the rich officer class. We want the law to stop politicians from being anti-German and to stop newspapers from writing about them, to take a German national press. We demand that all editors of and writers in the German language newspapers are members of the nation of a German race. Foreign newspapers need permission from the government. They must not be printed in the German language. Non-Germans cannot own or control German newspapers. Any non-German who does own or control a newspaper will be made to leave Germany and the newspaper closed down. Newspapers who criticize the country or government are not allowed. Art and books which support foreign ideas should be banned. We want to allow all religions in the state unless they offend the moral feelings of the German race. The NSDAP is Christian, but does not belong to any denomination. Those who say Hitler was a pagan, there you go, boom, boom, bada bing. The NSDAP will fight the Jewish self-interest spirit, believes that our nation will be strongest only if everyone puts the common interest before self-interest. 5, we will create a strong central government for the right, give parliamentary control over the entire government and its organizations, form groups based on class, and a job to carry out laws in various German states. Now, where that applies as me being American is I agree with a lot of the 25 points.
Okay,
But the
so let's go with what you don't.
the race and the Jew stuff, I could care less about.
So that's the part that you don't agree with.
Well, I don't agree with not questioning the government. I don't believe that art and books that support foreign ideas should be banned. I believe they should be regulated. I don't believe they should be banned. I don't think that in newspapers is just a word for media. This is just the product of its time.
Right.
I don't believe media that criticize the government shouldn't be allowed. I believe that every citizen has the right to question its government and their leaders. But
those really make the two difficult to work together, though, right?
No.
Well, if the people are just only allowed to do what's best for the country, and the leaders determine what's best for the country, arguing with them would be problematic, right?
No. Because let's say the leader's obviously not doing something that's in the benefit of the nation. Should you have the right to call that out? Absolutely.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to take these exact 25 points. Even if I was a raving racist and a raving Jew hater, right? You wouldn't be able to take those points and even carbon copy them to the U.S. For one, it's a product of its time, and we have a different culture.
Right. I'm just looking at the whole overall picture. So I'm thinking the whole point of us being able to protest the government is because we can actually get laws passed, right, through voting in bills. If they don't have that option, what's the point of even allowing them to protest?
Well, they do have that option. The German people have that option. Foreigners do not.
To pass laws under a fascist.
Do I need to read the 25 points again, Blue Jay?
Well, I tried to follow along. I pulled it up, but obviously I can't incorporate all that information in my brain that quickly. But
yeah, no, it's fair.
That's why I was asking, like, overreaching, because I'm sure I'm not the only person listening to this that doesn't know all these things.
under the 25 points, every person who is German has equal rights and duties, meaning they are allowed to question their leaders. They are allowed to say, hey, I don't think this is a good idea.
I understand that part.
The non-German is not. And the non-American should not be allowed to question our system. Donald Trump is sending off.
Okay, I'm only talking about the Americans or the Germans, not the foreigners. I'm only talking about the people that.
Well, it says it right. It says it right there, though.
No, but you didn't get to the second part of my question, which was the main part, which is, are they allowed to vote on laws and?
Yes, it literally says that. Yes.
Okay.
Citizen. You cannot work for the government unless you are a citizen, or you're a German or an American. In this case, in my dream America, an American. And only Americans, only citizens, according to the 25 points, are allowed to vote on laws.
Okay, so they can propose bills and get laws passed.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the 25 points of the ideology itself. I don't care what anyone in the audience says. I don't care if they want to go, oh, you're a Jew hater, da-da-da-da-da. I was reading it as is. I don't agree with it 100%. But a good 80% of it I agree with. And I do believe that it could fit within the Constitution of the United States. Now we can discuss what that is, but I just wanted to go through that because I'm a National Socialist. I just happen the caveat there is I'm an American. I'm not German. Well, genetically I may be German. I mean, my ancestors have been here since the Revolutionary War. They helped found the country.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just knowing, like, if you were to maybe do it in a two-part series and go through each point and just say where it differs from ours now, and so people can understand.
Well,
It is.
this is just a bum rush through several topics. Like the building the nation took way longer than I thought it would. Bumpkin. So, are you ready to discuss free market capitalism?
Holy shit.
Or do you want to do the what is fascism versus communism versus socialism differences explained?
Oh, fuck.
Or have we
What
done
would
enough
be
of that?
number 4, where it says only a member of the race can be a citizen, and a member of the race can only be one who is of German blood? Obviously, that's this, this one. But if you were to apply that to America, where we have so many different backgrounds, like how would you determine who's American race?
It would be literally just American nationality in that case.
Going back for how long, or how many generations, or how would you
It
dictate that?
wouldn't go back generations. Whoever an American citizen is now.
Okay.
Damn.
That's the thing. That's why you don't go. That's why you can't really go by race in the modern world. And it's not a conceding the point to the leftists that race it doesn't exist. It's unless you're willing to do some very atrocious, horrible shit, which I'm not. You can't go based on race in somewhere like America.
Well, I think that's why it's so confusing to compare, like, your ideals, which don't, in my opinion, really parallel a lot with this, because it is so, kind of like heritage based in his thinking and a lot of his
Well,
plans.
wait.
So,
Most Americans' families have been here for hundreds of years.
right. I
Like
get
so,
that. What I'm saying is
the heritage,
this
the American
25,
heritage.
but
What
the
in
25
your
points, he was
opinion?
wanting people to leave. So that's very different than your ideology.
We want to deport the shit. Have you not heard of the argument, the immigration argument?
Well, those are non-citizens. He wanted people that were citizens to leave.
Exactly.
But didn't you want people
They're
that
not,
had
okay,
been there since a
here's the thing,
certain year?
Blue Jay. Blue Jay. Let's
He
do a thought
said-
experiment, darling. Anytime you see German in your head, replace the word German with American.
Well, right, but he wanted people that had been already immigrated there to leave.
No.
Yes, it is. Since Germany, since the 2nd of August, 1914, be forced immediately, and he wrote this in 1920.
Yeah,
So
that was
they'd already
that was
been there
that,
6
that was
years.
that was 6 years. Yeah. Blue Jay, most of the illegals have been here 30 years.
Hot take. I want the people that already immigrated here to leave as well. Hot take.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about the recent migrant rush, right? You're
I'm
not
talking about pre-1965.
Yeah. Unironically, yeah.
What? Wouldn't they be citizens by now because they'd have kids?
No, I don't believe
Birthright citizenship should not exist. That was for blacks after
Going
slavery.
forward, though, right? You don't want to erase. You don't want to backtrack.
I mean,
retro. You don't want to retro.
but at the same time, I think it's dumb. I think it's not going to happen, so it's not worth talking about.
Realistically, yeah, it would have to be going forward. Ideally, no. Ideally, I hate that.
Otherwise, you'd either be kicking out people that were over 65, just based purely on the dates, or they'd have kids. So it would be pretty fruitless endeavor to go back to 1960.
Nah. Everyone has a social security number. Did my headset die?
No, I can still hear you. I just haven't heard Arthur in a minute. I don't know what. Are you muted, Orthodox?
He's muted again.
How much dead hair did I leave? Did I leave and come back to?
You left a little bit. Who the hell is Maeve?
But no, like, I'm just gonna post this one in there because this is more of an educational source. There is a difference. It's disingenuous for you to say there's not.
Are you talking to me?
No. I'm talking to I'm talking to everyone.
Oh, okay, my bad.
By the way, Blue Jay, check the. I'm gonna post something in a minute. You know what? We've been streaming for like 3 hours. Blue Jay had a good idea about doing a part 2. We could do the actual economics part tonight if you want.
Okay.
Well, you can go.
I'll hop on. I just think if you maybe broke it down a little bit more slowly and like gave examples of what that would actually look like, so people have a chance to kind of perceive it, you know. So.
Well, I mean, this particular stream isn't about doing that. It's just about talking about what the beliefs that we have are.
Okay, yeah.
It's not about it's not about helping people understand them. It's a counterpoint and a refutation of what we were accused of being.
Yeah, I've been trying to help people understand my ideology for like 6-7 years.
That's why I'm wondering if, in order, maybe proving that you're not, like the points that this is what they believe in, we do not agree with this, rather than everything you believe, because then we have to like decipher. And most people maybe can, but
well,
I'm kind of jumping into it late too, because
I'm gonna do some individual, more specific streams. Why I either play a video game in the background and discuss and talk about it. But as far as like because like here's the thing, I've been I've had some medical issues lately, so like I haven't been streaming. And I've been in and out of hospital and
I
stuff.
asked you if you're feeling okay. I noticed you had a post that said you were kind of not feeling great.
So, but that's kind of why I've been irritable towards you and kind of getting loud. I do want to apologize. That's what I was going to put in the back. Is like I feel a little bit better. I usually don't mind being questioned, but it's like when people make accusations. I basically gotten tired of being called an idiot because I'm more intelligent than 90% of the population. And if I think you're
confusing my clarifying with objection a little bit, and maybe
Well, it's because of what I've got going on personal wise.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time for it, especially when other people have called me an idiot or told me I don't know what I'm talking about. Like with me and Flo, we kind of went back and forth, and he tried to straw man me a little bit because he said something that was objectively Keynesian economics, which is like the tariffs stop growth, and I'm like, what growth for growth's sake is Keynesian economics, and it is. Then he wanted to make the argument about government control over the economy. I'm like, that's not what we were talking about, or that's not what I was talking about. But I digress.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch that. I saw a little bit of it, but
and then he tried to tell me that I was backing out, and it's like, nah, dude, I literally am just now, like today's the first day that I'm not dying.
So because you're okay with tariffs and export import, he thinks you're a fascist.
Oh no, he calls me a monarchist. I don't know why.
And he calls me a communist.
Well, he calls both of us communists. Somehow I'm a communist monarchist.
For wanting to do trade? I don't understand that.
Blue Jay, I don't know why he makes those accusations. He's mainly
economics and government systems are two different things.
At the end of the day, he's joking because that's Flo. He's messing around.
Right.
But he also is the personality type that actually starts getting angry when you don't let him have his fun, and then he actually tries to debate you as if you are those things.
See, when he called me a communist yesterday, and I was like, you're just joking, like, half joking.
Well, because you're so anti-communist, so that would bother you, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Yes.
You got to understand, from his libertarian perspective, you are a communist because you're a statist.
Yeah, pretty much. It's statism to him equals communism.
Well, I mean, look at not laws. He basically said in the chat, communism is when the government do stuff.
Yeah, which I didn't. That's that is
There's
an
a
argument.
big, that's a big jump. There's a lot in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Like I never thought I would see that argument from a supposed communist.
Well, I'm gonna
Yeah,
make my
because
point on.
fascism is like one extreme and communist the other. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Exactly.
more
It
than
really
two
is.
options. Like,
Fascism is right wing extremism. Communism is left wing extremism.
right.
So
So
basically,
you're closer to his like ideology
yeah, no,
than
me
communism.
me and Flo actually agree on a lot. Like,
I
as a
would think so.
religious person, I would rather have Flo on my side than have a communist atheist on my side. Because Flo is agnostic.
Right.
To him, and I understand his point, and I agree and respect his point on religion. His point is nobody really knows, and for you to sit here and objectively say the way is wrong, and that's understandable. That's understandable for someone to have that. Now, what
Yeah,
you
of course.
do with that information is what makes you a decent person. And Flo's a decent person. I am not a Flo hater. I'm just annoyed with him. I'm annoyed with my Uncle Flo.
Yeah, so basically the difference between your beliefs and his is that the government is more the control power in your system, whereas in his it's more free market and anarchy,
Well,
basically.
actually, we don't have a separate system. Believe it or not, me and Flo have the same system. The difference is he doesn't want the government to have power. I don't care if the government does, to be honest. At the end of the day, he would disagree and say that that's such a different way of doing things that we have two different systems, but it's not.
So do you
It's
and
not.
Bumpkin have different ideologies then?
We stem from the same tree, but we're not exactly the same. He's a
Because
national
you're
socialist.
heavy on the government control, though,
Yeah,
Bumpkin.
Bumpkin is a communist.
No, he's a national socialist. I am a national syndicalist or a corporatist or a fascist.
I don't really think corporations should exist.
I
That's the
think that's
difference.
a retarded statement.
That's the thing. National socialists either say
I didn't
say
mean to
corporation.
say retarded. I'm really
Well,
tired, buddy.
corporations can exist in, why not? I guess I'm confused about that.
I don't believe multinational large corporations should exist. Everything should be a basically a mob power version of that. To put it in American stance,
Then just make it a trade union, man.
So,
we already the
even
free market is
franchise?
the trade union.
No,
Do you
it's
believe in
not.
franchise then?
A trade union. For one, unions are gay, bro. Like I love the
Unions
workers, but unions
are base.
the motor look, unions have their place. They have their place. The workers have to fight for what they believe in and what they need because capital, whether it's small or large, will run rickshaw over them every time. If the government doesn't exist to make regulations, and if it's here in simplest terms, if it's not against the law, they're gonna do it. If you don't explicitly say it's against the law, they're gonna be like, well, it's not against the law. It's not morally right, but it's not against the law. And that's gonna be the argument unless you make it against the law.
Don't all the corporations start out as mom and pops? So you just want to limit how large they can get, basically.
Pretty much. I want to limit their. Oh my God, Snowman, come on stream. If you're gonna say that, you butthead.
That's pretty
Get
much the only
your
difference. You have to
fucking
set a limit on how much.
trailer
much?
trash
What?
ass up here, Snowman.
Look, man, we are trailer trash apologists here.
I escaped the trailer park.
No, you didn't.
I'm the one that escaped.
We'll get you back. But no,
Never.
So Flow State described free market, right, as a mixture between private property and voluntarism. The actual definition of free market is a system in which the prices of goods and services are determined by supply and demand. So neither of those things, right?
Yeah.
And voluntarism is defined as any metaphysical or physical system that assigns to the will a more prominent role that attribute to intellect. Equivocally, the doctrine that will is the basic factor both in the universe and human contact. Voluntarism has appeared at various points throughout history as philosophy, seeing application in the areas of metaphysics, psychology, political philosophy, and theology. And all voluntarism is individuals get to choose what to be a part of.
Brother, that
Volunteerism
exists.
that insinuates no profit.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my point.
Also, getting to choose exists in my system. You get to choose what profession you go into. What the fuck are
And
we
private
talking about?
property is a legal designation for the ownership of property by non-government legal entities. Private property is distinguishable from public property, which is owned by a state entity and form a collective or cooperative property, which is owned by one or more non-government entities. All right. And here's the thing: personal property, right? Personal property is property that is movable. In common law systems, personal property may also be called chattel or personality. In civil law systems, personal property is often called movable property or movables.
Well, we definitely need to stop selling our land to the freaking Chinese and
Definitely.
people. Like, why are they allowed to buy land here? I don't understand that. Not just Chinese, but I mean all these foreign, especially the corporations.
Yeah.
Why are Indians allowed to come over here and open up shop all over? Even
because Orthodox, we don't have enough Americans that want to do that.
Yeah. So it's totally not an already wealthy elite is coming over here and displacing American social mobility.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna have a shit ton of nepotism and hire their own. That's definitely not gonna happen.
I mean, I'm not even gonna make that argument because I don't think nepotism is a bad thing. I do believe in meritocracy. But if I open a family business, that is for my family and my prodigy. I should not have to employ people who are not my family. But when it comes to government in leadership positions, that should be 100% meritocracy.
So, like, say for instance, somebody wants to be, a fireman, and then somebody else wants to be a doctor. Obviously, barrier to entry are much different for those two occupations, right?
Well,
so, assuming that you're
Blue
going
Jay,
to make
hold that thought, because I have to continue on my miniature flow hatred because I'm reading off these definitions. And personality, by the way, personality or personal property are goods. Hold on, let me find it. I dropped it.
Bro, I got a head off.
Fair goods, chattel, articles, movable property, whether animate or inanimate. That proves the point that proves my point that I told Flo that personal or private property can equal people, right?
Yes.
Because chattel is defined as
it's just movable property.
Well, chattel is an item, tangible, movable, or immovable property, except real property, estate, things such as buildings connected with real property. It is also an enslaved person held as the legal property or another.
Yeah, it's movable. Like, you don't have to. Yeah.
An article of movable property, a slave, property, wealth, goods, stock, sea cattle, that type of thing. But this is where we will end it for now, and we'll go even more in depth into the economy. There is a little bit of a shitty take that I got, a little shit stir take that I give. Monarchism is the advocacy of the system of monarchy or monarchical rule. A monarchist is an individual who supports this form of government independently of any specific monarchs, whereas one who supports a particular monarch is a royalist. Even if I was a monarchist, I'm not a royalist because I don't know who would be king of America. Maybe Baron, like I said, but it is what it is.
I think those are anticipated for a reason. I mean, they don't work as well. Like, we've progressed in systems since then, so that's why most of those have been replaced. Or if they haven't, they are not as, like, high functioning.
Yeah, I've never advocated for a monarchy.
Neither have I.
I'm actually genuinely anti-monarchy. I think one of the real ways that a lot of the Axis nations during World War II failed was through their reliance on keeping the monarchy close.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
and
thanks for letting me come up. I'll hop down in New York and also I'll
All right.
probably see you guys later then if you're doing another one.
all right, we'll probably go live tonight. I mean, it's not even not laws. It's not a loose logical connection. It's literally definitions within definitions of the word. Why, my brother in Christ? After all you rail against capitalism, why are you now defending it? you just want to be contrarian.
Of course,
This is why
he
we should
does.
annex. This is why we should annex Canuckadia.
Stop being an armchair socialist and actually hit the streets, buddy. That's all I gotta say to you. Can we leave now?
Yeah, we're gonna end it. Thanks everyone for watching.
We'll be back tonight.
We'll be back tonight. Bumpkin is eepy.
I'm so EP. But play that banger outro video we got for the audience.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we go, Bumpkin, aren't you so glad that tariffs and like free economy allows you to buy like 8 coffee makers in 1 year?
Bro, I went through a Keurig, a normal coffee maker. I was about to, dude, if this coffee maker that I got didn't work, you were going to hear me physically throw it out my window.
Didn't it break like right before the stream?
No, it's back up. There was a button I didn't realize that I needed to press.
Oh.
It was weird. It was like on the back of it, and it was like a press to brew button, but it was on like the back of the. It's weird. It's weird.
Wild. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna end it now. Appreciate you. Peace.
Man, I'm gonna whip this home. Oh,